clean energy investments with one thing in mind. You, New Jersey's clean energy program, can help you save on appliances, solar power, and so much more. Visit njcleanenergy.com today to see what New Jersey's clean energy program can do for you.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers. WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program? Yeah.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Thursday edition of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. Phillies sweep the St. Louis Cardinals yesterday. 2 straight wins thanks to Nick Castellanos. Who would have thought? Mike Gill is in London for the Phillies game this weekend, so we will talk with Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad coming up in the 3 o'clock hour about the Phillies as they travel from their home games in Philadelphia to London Stadium for the 2-game set against the Mets this weekend. Also coming up on the show, talking with Mike McGarry. We missed him yesterday because he was the Shopray LPGA media days and press conferences. He will join us today with his latest on his thoughts on the Phillies. Plus, we'll get a little bit later in the show. The NBA Finals are tonight. Keith Smith, NBA insider for Spot Track, will join us coming up at 3 o'clock as we'll get deeper into the NBA Finals. And we'll ask Keith his thoughts because one NBA, he's not even really an NBA pundit. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. I'll just call it a media personality, okay? One media personality says they're tired of Joel Embiid being discussed among the best players in the league. And I'm going to tell you guys after I play the audio for you later why this individual is part of the problem. Not Embiid, but people like this individual, why they are the problem. Also, football at 4, final day of Eagles minicamp. We'll get into it with Andrew Luchecko from the Inside the Burst podcast, InsideTheBurst.com. And, of course, Nick Earnshaw is back for the edition of Nick's Nuggets at 4:30 today. All that and more to come on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Hill on 97.3 ESPN. But we start the show talking about the Phillies because I asked the question yesterday about Nick Castellanos. Are we ready to start being more patient now that Nick Castellanos is hitting better? Well, he didn't just hit better yesterday. He was arguably the reason why they won the game. And I didn't really appreciate the hyperbole by the Phillies post-game show. You know, the guys on the Phillies post-game show, they kept acting like Aaron Nola had like this amazing day at the office. I went back and rewatched the Phillies game last night. Nola had a good out. It was not even, okay? To me, the larger point of that game was Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos has suddenly evolved from the most useless player on the Phillies to one of the most valuable. And never in my life did I think that we would be sitting here saying that. Because he played so horrible in the month of April. He was so pitiful, so pathetic. I mean, some of those strikeout swings were just disgusting. But I got to give Castellanos credit, guys. I really do. Because in his last 14 games, he has 4 home runs in the 14 games, including the huge home run and 2 RBI yesterday afternoon. And he's slugging .546 in his last 14. And while the Phillies are only 9-5 in those games, Castellanos has been a part of a majority of those wins. In fact, if you go through the game logs, you will realize that Nick Castellanos now has an RBI, not a home run, an RBI in 6 of the Phillies' last 9 wins. So that means he is directly contributing to this team's success. We have now crossed from Nick Castellanos needs a day off to I don't know if you can afford to give Nick Castellanos a day off. It is absolutely insane how far we have come, how we have made that switch. But here we are, Nick Castellanos, clutch baseball player, walk-off win one night, 2-run homer to win the game the next day. And it just goes to make you wonder. You know, the reports out there about the Phillies wanting to add another bat for the outfield, right? You know, the Jeff Passan report on Monday talking about guys like Luis Roberts Jr. and Randy Arozarena and Kyle Tucker, right? You're speaking about these guys. And you have to wonder, are we really going to acquire those guys or not? Because I asked the question yesterday, and I'll ask it again today. How can anyone turn to a player like Luis Roberts, Randy Arozarena, guys who have now been historically, in recent years, everyday players, trade for them and turn to them and say, yeah, now you're on the Phillies. Now you're a part-time player. You're platooning with Brandon Marsh or Dave Dahl in this case. And if you're the Phillies, I understand Kyle Tucker is a phenomenal player. And he's only in his late 20s. He's not old at all. I think he's 27 or 28. I'll double check. But how do you turn to Marsh and Merrifield and Rojas and Pache and Dave Dahl and all these guys and say, hey, you all don't play anymore because we have Kyle Tucker? How would that impact the locker room? How would that impact the players on this team? Tucker's 27 years old. The idea of bringing in Randy Arozarena, Luis Roberts Jr., or Kyle Tucker sounds appealing. It sounds like a good idea. But right here, right now, I'm starting to wonder if it is. Because this team has something special going on. There is something different about this ball club. And is it a good idea to mess with a locker room that has gotten you to a 44-19 record? And you're not just in first place in the National League East. This is not just the best start for the Phillies since 1993, which could be another conversation altogether. You have the best record in the National League. And the only other team with as many wins as you is also a hot team called the New York Yankees, basically 2 hours, 3 hours away from Citizens Bank Park. No other team is close. Dodgers have 38 wins. You just took out the Milwaukee Brewers. You swept them after you beat the Cardinals for 2 out of 3. You went from being the team before the season with all the questions about can they do it, and now you've turned into the team that everyone questions why can't they do it. It's an incredible change. It's an incredible twist of fate, basically, that you went from one extreme to another. You went from the team that we had questions about how they were going to keep winning to now, should we doubt them that they will keep winning? Because I'm looking at the major leagues right now, and if you're telling me there's only one other team with 44 wins, and there's only 2 other teams with 40 wins, and there's only 3 other teams with a minimum of 38 wins, is it really smart to upset the apple cart and go out and bring in an everyday player and either one, risk them being disgruntled because you ask them to play a part-time role, or 2, risk upsetting a locker room that is all committed to each other to bring in guys who will take playing time away from Brandon March, Dave Dahl, Jose, Johan Rojas, Christian Pache, etc. I'm starting to look at this team, and I go back to what Dave Dombrowski himself said. Because Dombrowski was very clear. He does not like making trades too early in the season. He said it himself. He likes to let the season play out. He likes to let things, flesh out before he makes a trade. Because if he would have been like some of these other teams that have already started making trades in the last 30 days, would this team have gotten Nick Castellanos going in the last 14 days? Would this team have the best record in baseball if they would have upset the locker room? This was Dave Dombrowski speaking with Joel Sherman and John Heyman on the show podcast.
If you engage now, it really has to be the right acquisition for you, because the closer you get to the deadline, who knows what your biggest need may be at that point due to health. That's usually what the case ends up being. If you told me we were going to stay perfectly healthy from now till July 30th, it is this year, well, that would be one thing. But when you've been around enough, you don't know how that will change.
Dombrowski being patient may have saved this organization from upsetting the apple cart. Him saying, I don't want to make a trade in May. I'm going to wait till the deadline. I'm going to let the season play out. I'm going to see how my injuries are. I'm going to see how it all works out. Because right now you have 3 guys on the injured list who have been contributors to this team this year. Trey Turner, Brandon Marsh, Cody Clemens. And nobody thinks that when those 3 players come back, nobody thinks that those guys are going to have diminished roles compared to what they were before the injury. No one's telling Trey Turner, hey, Trey, you haven't played for almost 2 months. Go sit on the bench because of Edmundo Sosa, right? No one's going to tell Brandon Marsh, hey, Brandon, we don't want you in the locker room anymore because we got Dave Dahl here. And no one's telling Cody Clemens, Cody, you lost your job to Weston Wilson. Like, those conversations are not happening. And Dombrowski talked about as well the chemistry of this team. You have guys on this team who are all for one, one for all. They are fully committed to each other. And you really want to bring in a player who is going to disturb the locker room of this team. Dave Dombrowski, again, speaking with Joel Sherman and John Heyman a couple weeks ago.
If the right opportunity came up, you do it at any time. But you also have to be careful because you only have so many bullets you can play. And the chemistry of our club is extremely important too, because they're together as a team. So every club can get a little bit better, but you have to make sure that you're weighing all those things and don't do something that you later regret.
So could the Phillies regret bringing in a guy like Randy Arozarena, Luis Robert Jr., or a Kyle Tucker? Could those guys upset the apple cart and make this team less desirable moving forward? You guys can chime in on text board 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how Josh Heddick filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday edition of the Sports Bash, because when you look at this Phillies team, we know they need another bat. We know they need another bullpen arm. But would we risk upsetting everything, past, present, and future, to just get another bat? Matt from Cape May chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, Josh, simmer down. If you know anything about Nick Castellanos, he might be the streakiest player in Phillies history. So let's see where we are at with him come September. That's Matt from Cape May. Well, you don't have till September, Matt from Cape May. You have till July 31st. Okay? That's the first thing. Because the whole point of this conversation is if Castellanos has come around, Matt, then that changes the dynamic for this organization in terms of who you go out and get at the deadline. As I said, you know you need another bat. You know you need another, especially a right-handed bat, because of how left-handed heavy this team is in certain areas. And I'm not saying Castellanos is the answer, but as I said, Matt, I'm not depending on Castellanos to have a great next 3 months. But I'm asking, is Castellanos shown that he's good enough and productive enough and contributing enough to be able to offset the need to go out and trade for a big name guy before the deadline? I agree with you. He is very streaky. He's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is hot and cold. He is whatever analogy, whatever description you want to give. He is all the above. Okay. And I totally get it. He's frustrating. He's exasperating. He's odd. He's quirky. He is streaky. He is all over the place. But is he an important enough player to this team for them to keep playing him every day? And I think he has answered that to be yes. Stephen Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says a relief pitcher wouldn't disturb the chemistry of this team. I think Mason Miller of the A's is the type of player that would put this team over the top no matter what your other needs may arise. He's a relief pitcher, and they could acquire him without trading one of their top prospects. Well, it's interesting because I do agree, Steve. I do think they do need a bullpen pitcher. I do agree that they need another arm, not because the bullpen is bad necessarily, but it's because you have a group of guys who have already done a lot of pitching this year. Alvarado and Hoffman are both close to that 30-game mark already. And when the Phillies touch down in London and have the first pitch on Saturday afternoon Eastern Standard Time, you are going to be talking about a Phillies team that will be playing, if I remember correctly, it's their 64th game this year. Yeah, they're 44-19. So they have played 63 games. They are almost at 64. So that means you have two bullpen pitchers who have played in almost half of your games this year. And Strom is not far behind. He's at 26. And then you have Dominguez and Soto have both pitched 23. So you have two guys who have pitched almost half of your games, two guys who have pitched basically 25% of your games. I'm sorry, 33% of your games. Are you really going to look to that bullpen to be able to keep up this pace the entire year? I agree with Steve Ventnor. I think one more arm in the bullpen would, one, not disturb the chemistry of this team, and number two, be much more of an addition than a subtraction in the long run, because you're not bringing in a guy like Mason Miller to take outings away from other guys necessarily. You're bringing him in here to not have to go to the other guys as often. Huge difference. And Miller is young enough that it's kind of like a, hey, young man, know your role. He's pitched on a losing team in the last couple of years. Okay. It's not like the A's are some great ball club. All right. This isn't this isn't my A's. I would say my father's Rays or my grandfather's A's, but I mean, I don't want to go back that far. I can go back to the early 2000s when the A's were a year in and a year out competitive team. No, they haven't been that in a while. Okay. This is a losing organization. So you're bringing in a guy from a losing organization to come in here and be like, you're not our primary guy, but you're one of our guys. Settle into your role, settle into this team, be a part of what we're doing. We look forward to seeing what you do for us. That's all. It's probably it is the least pressure situation that Miller can go to in the trade market. Because again, the Phillies have Alvarado. They have Hoffman. They have Strom. They have Soto. They have Dominguez. They have Kerkering. What you're doing is you're telling all of those guys I just named, I don't need you every single day when you're bringing a guy like Miller. But you're also telling Miller, I don't need you every day either. So it creates a much more harmonious bullpen for a team, for a team like the Phillies. And as Steve Ventnor said, you're not giving up, Crawford, the outfielder, who I think you must keep at all costs. You're not giving up one of those type of players to get this guy. You might have to give up someone maybe like a Griff McGarry, let's say, but it's not like you're trading a guy who has a future with this team who's going to be a major impact. You're trading a guy who may or may not be a part of this team in the near future, kind of like a coin flip situation. So good text by you guys chiming in. Keep them coming at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Still to come, we'll be talking NBA with Keith Smith from SpotTrack.com at 3 p.m. Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad coming up at 3:30 today. Andrew Checo football at 4. Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast at 4 p.m. Knicks Nuggets are back for a Thursday edition at 4:30. But coming up on the other side, Mike McGarry from the Press Atlantic City will get his perspective as the Phillies sweep the Milwaukee Brewers and they head to London to take on the Mets this weekend at London Stadium. Mike McGarry will talk about that and more. Coming up next, Josh Eddick hanging out with you guys here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill, who is also going to London for the Phillies game this weekend. Josh Eddick hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Don't forget, our Phillies conversation each and every day here on the Sports Bash is brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located on Railroad Avenue in Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Find out why Clark's is the best. Give them a call today for your moving and storage needs. Clark's Moving and Storage. More baseball talk coming up next and throughout the day. NBA, Phillies. The NBA Finals are tonight. Phillies are taking a couple days off, but they're still a hot topic. They have one of the best starting rotations in all of baseball. And, of course, the Eagles continue mandatory minicamp. All that and more still to come. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from June 7th through the 10th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with the Father's Day gift from the Home Depot. Because he's not just Dad. He's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. For Father's Day, upgrade his gear with the Husky 270-piece mechanics tool set from the Home Depot. Just $99. Perfect in the hands of a pro or a dad. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
With Verizon, now everyone can get our best phone deals.
Even if I'm new?
Even if you're new.
What if I've been with Verizon forever?
Oh, yeah. You see, new and existing customers get the amazing iPhone 15 with tons of storage on us. With any iPhone trade, any model, any condition. Guaranteed with unlimited ultimate.
Here's one. What if?
That's a yes. There's a deal out there for everyone. Only at Verizon. $829.99, 128 gigabyte only device payment or full retail purchase with new or upgrade smartphone line on unlimited ultimate plan. Minimum $90 a month with auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Less $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Trade-in terms apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-838-4715 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-838-4715. That's 800-838-4715. What do you have to lose? Call 800-838-4715. Again, 800-838-4715.
The seafood extraordinary, the value tremendous, the sunsets on the house. It's Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Dine indoors or on the deck overlooking the bay. The Phillies are always on at Yuri's. Watch the game and enjoy daily food and drink specials, including all-you-can-eat crab backed by popular. Yuri's is perfect for menu and arcade. Next door to Yuri's is the Boathouse Restaurant. 2 great ways to experience the Jersey Shore's best waterfront dining. Yuri's and the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Henning Philly for Mike Gill here on the Thursday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Phillies sweep the National League Central leading Brewers. They're one of only 2 teams with 44 wins. Them and the Yankees, 2 best teams in baseball. Get more thoughts on the Phillies and more. Mike McGarry, we missed him yesterday. He was at pressers and media days and everything, but he joins us now here on the Sports Bash on a Thursday on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, welcome in. How are you doing today?
Hey, Josh, doing well. Yes, busy day at the ShopRite LPGA Classic yesterday, but I'm glad to join you today.
I appreciate you getting in. So before we get to the Phillies stuff, for you, the ShopRite LPGA is always a massive event, a massive happening here in South Jersey. So is there a storyline or something that you're looking forward to most this weekend?
Yeah, a couple things. We have our 5 storylines to follow at PressOfAC.com. There's some interesting players out there. Obviously, Esley Buhite defending her title. You have Gianna Clemente, a 16-year-old golfer, the latest sort of team sensation to play at the ShopRite LPGA Classic. And the Classic has a history of showcasing some of the best young players in women's golf. Michelle Reed played here when she was 13. Paula Creamer played here when she was 17. Lexi Thompson made her pro debut here in 2010 when she was 15. So if you check out my must-win column at PressOfAC.com, it's on Gianna Clemente, 16-year-old standout golfer. And sometimes the expectations, the unfair expectations, the sport of women's golf tends to put on these young players. So check that out. Keep the name to watch and follow this weekend at Seaview on the Bay Course in Galloway Township.
You mentioned about how all these names are out there. For you, if you does Mike McGarry have a favorite ShopRite LPGA memory?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I would go back to probably the 2003 tournament, which was the tournament was a national story that year. Michelle Reed at the age of 13 played in the event. Annika Sorensen played in the event, and that was a couple of weeks after she had played in the Colonial PGA tournament. So it really was a national story that week. So that's a week that always sort of sticks out for me. And just golf-wise, it's just seeing, if you look at the list of past champions for the ShopRite LPGA Classic, it really tells the history of the sport. I mean, Annika Sorensen, Nancy Lopez, Julie Inkster, Betsy King, the greats of the game have come to South Jersey and won here. So, yeah, the 2003 tournament and just overall seeing the greats of the game, Hall of Famers, Kari Webb win here. Really, that's kind of a neat thing.
Let's flip it over to the Phillies, sweeping out the Brewers out of the ballpark. I want to start with this question I've asked a couple of days. I want to get your perspective on this. Castellanos finally coming around in the last 14 days. He does have 4 homers. He's finally getting his slugging percentage over in the 500 range. Are we finally getting the Castellanos that we should have the rest of the year, or is this a flash in the pan?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a hot and cold hitter, so I think he's going to get hotter than he's been so far this season. I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was, but he is going to blow hot and cold. And I think even though he's hit the ball well these past couple of weeks, I don't think that's going to stop the Phillies from seeking outfield help or looking for another power right-handed bat if they turn at the trade line. So it's nice that Castellanos is hitting the ball now and hitting a little better than he was, but I don't think the Phillies are going to take that and say, okay, now we're going to power bat to sort of bolster their lineup.
You see right-handed power bat. So, like Jeff Passan reported, guys like Rosa Rayner, Robert Jr., do they fit what you're looking for? Or are you, Mike McGarry, saying, I need a little more of a part-time player than a full-time power bat?
Well, I think if you can get that full-time guy, you go get that full-time guy, Josh. I mean, 44 wins. This is their best regular season start in history. They are on pace to probably breaking that record of 102 wins in 2011. You've got a team like this that is built to win the World Series this year. I think you've got to do everything you can to push that team over the top and make sure the roster is as strong as it can be come October. And right now, you look around, the one place they can improve is the corner spots in the outfield, and the one thing they need is a right-handed power bat. So I think you go out and get the best guy you can if available.
See, here's my question with that. Is there any concern that bringing in a guy could disrupt the chemistry of this locker room? Because Dave Dombrowski, that's what one of the things he said to Joel Sherman and John Heyman, Mike, on the show podcast, was that he said, you don't want to take the wrong move. You want to bring in the guy that's going to mess with the chemistry of this team.
No, I think the culture in this clubhouse is so good. I don't think bringing in a guy, I think that guy would fall in line. I think, the leaders in this clubhouse, the Kyle Schwabers, the Bryce Harpers, the Trey Turners, this is a good clubhouse. This is a business-like team. The team knows how to take care of business. So I don't think you can wreck the culture of this clubhouse. And, honestly, it's baseball too, right? The right fielder can hate the third baseman. That doesn't mean the right fielder is going to go up to the plate and strike out 4 times or not catch the ball in right field. Different than basketball where the point guard might hate the power forward, so the point guard doesn't give him the ball. I mean, the right fielder and the third baseman just hate each other. They're not going to go out there and make errors and strike out on purpose because of that. So I don't really worry about culture too much in baseball, but I think the Phillies culture is strong enough where I wouldn't worry about that no matter who they brought in.
Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Eddie filling for Mike Gill on 973 ESP. You can follow Mike on the Twitter X platform at AC Press McGarry. Mike, speaking of the bat, right now, as you move forward, we have seen now Dahl getting at bats in left field. Do you want to keep seeing Dahl in left field till further notice, or do you want to see more of somebody else in the lineup?
I don't mind Dahl out there, left-handed hitter against right-handed pitching while Marsh is out of the lineup. I think you can give Merrifield a chance, but the results just haven't been there. Christian Pache might see him a little bit, but I think those combination of those 3 guys are the guys that are going to handle that spot in Marsh's absence for now. And Dahl is off to a good start. Look, just every great baseball team I've ever seen or been around, that what makes them great is they bring up guys like Dahl in the middle of the season, and that guy goes on a 2 to 3 week run and kind of helps the team keep winning. We saw it with Cody Clemens earlier in the year. Now maybe you're seeing it with Dahl. This is what great teams do. They bring up guys like this, guys like, who's this guy? And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, people are talking about like, hey, we can't possibly bench Dahl or send Dahl back down. So that is what the great teams do.
And for me, probably reason why I asked it, Mike, was because I didn't like the other night when they pulled Dahl and put Pache in and pinch. Well, I thought that was one of the most overthinking moves I've seen Rob Thompson do in his era as manager. I felt they could have kept Dahl out there, and I want to see more of it. I want to see Dahl get a legitimate opportunity out there, because who knows down the road if you need this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that move. I think at the same time, you want to see Dahl, you can't get carried away, and you want to allow Pache to play. You want Merrifield to have some at bat. So, I can see again trying to spread it around those 3 guys, and then seeing if one of them gets hot, and then riding that guy.
Mike, let's flip it over to the pitching staff, because we're seeing what Aaron Nola much better this year. I genuinely believe, and you tell me what you think, Mike, I genuinely believe Aaron Nola has kind of found his groove again. Last year he obviously had struggles with the pitch clock and learning how to handle that, and he looked so much more comfortable as a pitcher this year.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he's come to he's learned how to handle that pitch clock, and I think just as importantly, I mean, I think the contract he signed in the offseason kind of gives him peace of mind, gives him comfort. He knows where he's going to be the next couple of years. That is off his mind. And think about it. Sometimes we don't treat these guys like they're real people. I mean, if you were working and you didn't know if your business was going to have you back, or maybe you were going to have to move to another town, or this or that, it would probably weigh on you and your performance. So I think Aaron Nola, with that new contract, with that peace of mind, yeah, you're seeing the best of Aaron Nola right now.
Phillies have arguably the best starting staff in all of baseball. All the stats show that they are right up there, Mike. What from this pitching staff do you think is going to be the easiest to translate to the postseason? Because you know how Philly fans are. They're asking the question, come on, guys, June 2nd. We still got to get to the postseason and get to a World Series.
Yeah, I think the pitching staff translates beautifully to the postseason. You've got tremendous starters at the top in Wheeler, Nola, Rangers, obviously. Then you could even, I would feel comfortable pitching Christopher Sanchez if you need a fourth starter in the playoffs. You've got a bullpen, Alvarado, Hoffman, Strom, Sir Anthony even seems to be putting it together. So you've got depth in that bullpen, but you've got guys who trust in that bullpen, especially Strom, Hoffman, and Alvarado. Again, you talk about something at the trade deadline, another arm in that bullpen wouldn't hurt. But I think this pitching staff translates beautifully to the postseason. The thing that worries me in the postseason about the Phillies, and it's why they lost last year, was they can't hit. Everybody goes cold at the same time. That's what would worry me in the postseason with the Phillies. But as far as the pitching staff, I think it translates beautifully to the postseason.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see one more arm in that bullpen, especially considering the fact that Alvarado and Hoffman have fished almost half the team's games this year. At some point, you need one more arm out there to give these guys the ability to get through the whole season to the postseason. Mike, before I let you go, I wanted to know from you, NBA Finals tonight. What is your interest level, and who do you think wins?
Interest level high. I think it's a fantastic matchup. Dallas against Boston. So I think it's one of the better NBA final matchups we've had the past couple of years. To win, I would take the Boston Celtics in 7 games. I think they have the overall better team. But I think if you were going to draft players off both rosters, the first guy you would take, or the first guy I would take, and everybody would take, would be Luka. The second guy I would take would be Kyrie Irving. Then I might take 5 Celtics, or 6 Celtics in a row. But the fact that the Dallas Mavericks will have the best 2 players on the floor, that's going to win them some games. That's going to make them an entertaining series. So I'll take the Celtics in 7, but I'm intrigued to see what happens. And I think Dallas has a real shot because I think they've got the best 2 players on the floor.
Yeah, I'm picking Dallas to win, Mike, because I think that for as much as Boston has been the best team throughout the year, I think the Mavs might be the hottest team. I'm not fully sure how they're stopping Luka in this series.
Yeah, I would agree. The Celtics just have so many weapons, and Tatum, Brown, looks like they're getting Porzingis back. He's a matchup problem. A 7-foot guy who can shoot from the perimeter like he can. Even guys like Derek White, Drew Holiday, they're capable of scoring 20 points in a playoff game. Defensively, Derek White is tremendous. Defensively, Drew Holiday is tremendous. So I think there's a lot of positives when you look at the Celtics. But again, there is the Luka factor, the best player on the floor, and Kyrie Irving. And to me, again, I've said it a million times, playoff basketball is about creating shots out of nowhere in the fourth quarter of close games. And right now, the Dallas Mavericks might have 2 guys that have done it as well or better than anybody in NBA history. and definitely right now.
All right, Mike, let's play Where in the World is Waldo? Where is Mike McGarry going today?
Headed out to Veterans Park in Mercer County, St. Augustine Prep Baseball, playing Del Barton for the state non-public A title, 4 p.m. first pitch. The Hermits against the Green Waves should be a great game. So you can follow me on Twitter for updates and PressOfAC.com later tonight for the game story.
Great stuff. Mike, appreciate you jumping on, and we'll have you back tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll be chatting with Ryan and Nick over there at the ShopRite LPGA. So you and I will talk again on Monday.
All right, Josh, thanks for having me on. See you down the road. Thank you.
Absolutely. Josh Hennick here, affiliate for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash 973 ESPN FM and a 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. All right, we'll check back on the text board. Coming up next, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. We got Jerry with the G chiming in. We'll get to your text and more. Coming up next as we wrap up the 2 o'clock hour, still to come, Keith Smith from SpotTrack.com, Bob Wankel from RedOctoberPhilly.com, more NBA, more Phillies, and don't forget the Eagles still at minicamp football for Andrew DeCecco at 4 p.m. from the Inside the Birds podcast. All that and more coming up here on Thursday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The Birds are heading to the Big Easy, and Philly Sports Trips is taking you along for the ride. Experience New Orleans like never before. Enjoy a 3-night stay at the luxurious JW Marriott, a welcome event steeped in soulful NOLA culture and a Q&A with surprise guests. Join the boat cruise welcome party, pep rally with fellow Birds fans, and an all-inclusive tailgate before the Eagles take on the Saints at the Superdome. Optional round-trip flights and airport transfers available. Don't miss the music, fun, and magic of New Orleans. Book now at PhillySportsTrips.com.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability and advanced cybersecurity. It's Ultimate Speed from Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet. Get started with internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online to switch today. And 62324 restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabits per second internet. People bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares Comcast Business 1.25 gig to 100 megabits per second of Verizon 5G Business, AT&T Wireless Broadband, and T-Mobile for Business. Up to 3 times downloads for current, essential, and standard customers.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it. That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas. loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppable spot shake. And now a Smith solo. Nice. You think longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppable wash scent beads.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repair. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-632-4055 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-632-4055. That's 800-632-4055. What do you have to lose? Call 800-632-4055. Again, 800-632-4055.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Coming up at 2 o'clock hour, Josh Kelly from Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Getting to more of the NBA Finals with Keith Smith from SpotTrack.com coming up at 3 p.m. in the Phillies with Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad and RedOctoberPhilly.com at 3:30. But right now, text 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Jerry with a G chimes in. This is Josh getting a little bit too deep into all of this. Making a trade is not going to mess up everything in the locker room, no matter who they get. Well, Jerry, you will have to agree to disagree. I would say you're not getting deep enough. I go all in on some of these ideas. Now, going all in, going extra deep, you get you in trouble sometimes. You know, some people might be a little squeamish about that, but you know what? It's just who I am. So, and look, I'm just a big believer in don't mess with a good thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, when you take your car to the shop and you say, hey, I want to get a sound system, right, in my vehicle, right? Or, hey, I want to put in new speakers. Or, hey, I want to put on better rims on my car. You don't want to drive out of there with a car with something else wrong with it when you went in to make the vehicle better or cleaner or fresher. I don't want to add to the vehicle and get a diminishing return somewhere else. That's me. Jerry with the G, I appreciate you chiming in on the text board. Still coming here on 973 ESPN. One media personality is tired of the Joel Embiid conversation. He is tired of hearing about Joel Embiid. He doesn't want to hear about these top five anymore. Is it a fair criticism? Into that and more coming up next. Also, the NBA Finals start tonight here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Thanks to ESPN Radio. Of course, Celtics, Mavs, heard my pick. I got the Mavs winning this series. If Keith Smith agree, we'll ask him next here on 97.3 ESPN.
This is Billy Schwein. Tune into the locker room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in the locker room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in the locker room with me, Billy Schwein on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with the Schweiner.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from June 7th through the 10th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about new Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil kit for $37.99.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze, and right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, and actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. I have a deal for you. Bring any new Chevy introduce 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco, the Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Acura for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. The Acura, Hill Road, EAP, your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy? Now you can get 50% off any unlimited data phone plan. That's one line for only $25 a month, and you keep the phone you love. Hurry, this is a limited time offer. So go to the store or switch solamente at totalbyverizon.com. Offer ends July 31st, 2024. Only subject to cancellation after 12 months. Available exclusively online and in Total by Verizon stores. Requires a compatible device installed. See totalbyverizon.com for device compatibility and additional details. Taxes and fees may apply. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry, who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you. Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The seafood extraordinary, the value tremendous, the sunsets on the house. It's Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Dine indoors or on the deck overlooking the bay. The Phillies are always on at Yuri's. Watch the game and enjoy daily food and drink specials, including all-you-can-eat crab, backed by popular demand. Yuri's is perfect for families with a kids menu and arcade. Next door to Yuri's is the Boathouse Restaurant. 2 great ways to experience the Jersey Shore's best waterfront dining. Yuri's and the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
He's this incredibly skilled guy for his size, which is what attracts us to what's possible with him. But I've just watched it. I'm not going to debate people on this anymore. He hasn't figured out some of the stuff that he needs to do to get me beyond the 30, 15, and all the shooting numbers that you could. Any Embiid guy can beat me over the head with all sorts of stats. I'm asking you, if you're a Sixers fan, do you feel super comfortable in those moments where it's up to him? I don't.
Out of left field, Ryan Russillo going after Joel Embiid. Should we be tired of Joel Embiid? Are Sixer fans tired of Joel Embiid? Should he not be in the top 5 players in the league conversation? Plus, NBA Finals start tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30 right here on 97.3 ESPN. Celtics, Mavs, a unique matchup. Also, speaking out of nowhere, Aaron Holy to the Lakers? What? Why? Well, the man that can answer all these questions is Keith Smith, SpotTrack.com. NBA Insider joins us here on the Sports Bash. Me, Josh, and filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Keith, welcome in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate jumping on. Let's start with the Russillo. Russillo had this long rant, basically talking about how he's tired of Embiid, tired of having the conversation. He refuses to have the conversation anymore. So I ask you, are you tired of hearing about Joel Embiid? Are you tired of the stats and everything? Or do you think people like Russillo are taking it too far?
I think it's probably going a little bit too far. I think, we've hit a point with Joel Embiid where you can't really have like a rational conversation about it because you get the one side, which is absolutely right, that when he plays, he's as dominant as any player is in the league. And you have the other side that says, yeah, cool, for like 50 games a year. And they're right too. So things where I think if you could try to get them both to see each other's points, like you could get there, but it's like everybody has stuck their heels in and have made it like, I don't care how much he plays, he's awesome when he plays. And the other side is like, I don't care how awesome he is, he doesn't play enough. And that's where it gets really tough.
You say it gets tough because I think that, it's a fascinating perspective because you know who else is frustrating? Anthony Davis. You know who else gets often injured at times? Anthony Davis. But because he's got a ring, Keith, because he won a championship, we got to let him slide, right? So, there are other guys in this league who are frustrating as well. Karl Anthony Towns fit that category. So Anthony Edwards came along, right? So it feels like Embiid's not the only one who's frustrating, but it's like he is the most eye-popping, frustrating one, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely spot on with that. There are definitely a bunch of guys that fit that category. Like Kawhi Leonard is there now, right? Where it's like, when he plays, he's great, but he doesn't play enough. I think we've even kind of turned a corner on LeBron to some extent, where it is like, LeBron missed a lot of time now. You gotta factor that in, any discussion on him and that sort of stuff. Now, I will say this with Embiid, I think part of if you separate fandom out of it and you kind of get down to the people who just they kind of love the game and they analyze the game. I think where the frustration lies there is he is so dominant when he plays, even at a level that those other guys don't touch. He was scoring at a level that, anytime it starts being, you're the first one to do this since Wilt Chamberlain, forget it. You're doing something that we haven't seen in 50 plus years. That's where it gets to be like, holy cow, this is what we're talking about here. And I think that's where the frustration comes in for a lot of people. But I get it. So I was asked a while, but it was actually a question about Jason Tatum because in this endless lead up between the end of the conference finals and the NBA finals starting,
it's so long. You're right.
Everything. We got to get down to, hey, what if it's Luke Cornett versus Dwight Powell in the third string center match? It's like, come on, what are we doing here, right? So it's one of the questions I was asked is Jason Tatum a top 5 guy in the league? And I went through my rankings. And I had Joel Embiid 4. And the reason I had him behind Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic is just the missed time factor. Those guys are generally more available than Embiid is, I called it out. And it's, look, if this time is so much, you want to drop him the fifth, sixth, seventh on your list, fine. I'm not going to argue with you. If you're like, I don't care about the missed time, he belongs right in with those top three guys. I'm not going to argue with you there either. I just kind of split the difference, dropped him at fourth, Tatum at fifth, and moving on like that. But yeah, that's one of the things that I think, becomes a very interesting conversation within all this is, can people be a little bit more rational than they discuss? Joel.
As you mentioned, Tatum and the Celtics. Let's get to the NBA Finals. Finally, Game 1. We're twiddling our thumbs for a week and a half, it feels like. So, for you, Keith, what is going to be the most important key to this series? Because I feel like, you mentioned Tatum. We can mention Jaylen Brown. We can mention Drew Holiday, Luka, Kyrie, PJ Washington, Porzingis coming back. There's so many variables. For you, is there like a big key that we need to focus on when we watch the game tonight?
I think there's a couple things, and the two of them kind of go hand in hand with each other. Is who can make the other team pay more when they are on offense? Meaning, can Boston find Luka and Kyrie and make the Mavericks pay for those guys not being great defenders? Can Dallas make sure you're getting enough action that involve Luka matched against Porzingis or Horford or Kyrie on those guys, and really try to punish the Celtics that way by doing that? And then related to that is, can either team find a way? I think both teams are going to score a lot of points in this series. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring series. But can both teams find a way for it to just get enough, just buckle down, get stopped over a few-minute period that creates that distance between the two teams? And I think that's going to be a major, major key. Along with, I think the four stars will show up. Tatum and Brown on the one side, Luka and Kyrie on the other side. It's really going to be what happens with the other guys. And that's where I think Boston starts to have a pretty decided advantage, is with their other guys versus Dallas with other guys.
Now, you mentioned the other guys, right? One of those other guys that we haven't seen for the postseason is Porzingis. At the end of the day, he's basically the third or fourth guy on this offense, which is wild to say considering how much debate there was about him years ago when he was drafted, by the Knicks. So all these years later, Porzingis, the unicorn, right? He is now the third or fourth guy. What is a realistic expectation for him in this series?
I think everybody's been being a little bit coy with his availability, because when you hear other people talk, it's kind of a thrown-in question. They mentioned he looks pretty good, and everybody seems to be saying he looks pretty good. I think the first 5 minutes of Game 1, I do think he will step right back into the starting five. I think we're going to be looking at it saying, all right, how is he moving? What does he look like? Is he moving well? Is he doing his thing? The Celtics will be any break in action. They're going to be, how you feeling? Is he holding up? Doing okay? In that, assuming he is able to be out there and be more or less fine and do the things he needs to be able to do, I think he just steps right back into being the guy he's been all year. He's going to be an elite spacer and then a big-time rim protector. I think because Al Horford has been as good as he is, they haven't really missed Porzingis on offense all that much. Horford can do a lot of the same things Porzingis does, just in different ways. But I think defensively, they've really missed him. Their rim protection numbers and their paint defense has really fallen off because they don't have the 7'3" guy back there, kind of saving everybody's behind when they do get beat. So I think that's going to be a big part of this, is having him back there. It just takes the defense from being a very good defense back to being an elite defense. And that's one of the differences. Like I said, I think both teams will score, but Boston also really defends. And Dallas, that has not, even though they've been better in the postseason, that's not generally what they do. They're not generally a very good defensive team.
You mentioned they're not generally defensive. Before we get to that, I want to get back to the Celtics part. You mentioned how, this is a team that doesn't need Porzingis, and that they have now the rim protection with him back there. What is it about Boston that makes them so good on the defensive side? Because a lot of people, you've heard the murmurs, they haven't played anybody. They had a weak run to the final. But at the end of the day, Boston still got the job done. A huge chunk of that was their defense.
Yeah, so a couple things. Let me answer that last part first there about they haven't played anybody. And I'm not going to suggest they haven't had an easy path. They played teams that weren't very good. They played teams that were missing players. That's 100% true. But the Celtics throughout the course of the regular season also drilled teams at a nearly historic rate. Anyway, their scoring differential, I believe, finished the year as the fourth best that the NBA's ever seen. They're historically good offense. But like I said, they're an elite defense. What makes them that elite defense is everybody can guard. They don't play a single player who can't hold up defensively. People have continued for 2 years running now. So they see Sam Hauser, and I think he approaches, all right, he's a white guy. Let's go at him. Let's try to score on him. He holds up. They see Peyton Pritchard, and they are like, small guy. Let's try to get at him. Peyton Pritchard, I'm not going to suggest he's ever going to be an all-defense guy, but against smaller guards, he's hefty. He turns into like a version of TJ McConnell, where he's kind of all over it and really a solid defender. So that's the difference between them and a lot of places. They don't put guys on the floor that aren't very good defensively. Everybody either is good and can hold their own, or they're elite level defenders like what Holiday and White have been with earning all defense nods. And quite frankly, Brown and Tatum aren't far off that. They don't get the headlines, and they don't do quite as much because their offensive roles are so big, but they're great defenders too.
Let's flip over to the Mavs because I got to admit, Keith, I did not have the Mavs in the finals. I had the Timberwolves there. And I think the Mavs they've exceeded expectations. And a huge part of that is Kyrie, man. Kyrie taking this new role. I don't know if he's drinking or smoking some new stuff. I don't know what the deal is that it has turned him in the last 6 years into this almost old sage version Kyrie. But it to me, Kyrie might be the difference in this series.
Yeah, he could be. He's certainly going to have to be if Dallas is going to win. He's going to have to be absolutely great. We just finished recording front office show, and my partner there on our show, Trevor Lane, said if Kyrie Irving isn't great, if he can't be as good as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, it's going to be too hard for Dallas to make up the difference and win this. And that's going to have to be. He's going to have to be really, really good for them to win this series. Now, why he's doing this, I don't know. It may be as simple as he's older, he's matured. Maybe he realized, hey, this is all starting to slip away from me basketball-wise. And this year, it's been all about basketball. Now, I've said this over and over again. People have started coming out of the woodwork saying, you all owe Kyrie an apology. Nobody owes him an apology. He did a lot of stupid stuff over the course of the years that kind of led to this point. What we can recognize and applaud him for it, he's changed. None of that stuff is going on anymore. And he's just playing basketball now. And I don't know anybody who has ever said, that Kyrie Irving's not a very good basketball player. I've never heard that statement uttered. He's an incredible basketball player. It's just been everything else that's caused the issues, and everything else just hasn't been there since he joined the Mavericks.
When you think about the Mavericks as well, I know that a lot of the attention is going to be on Luka. But do we need to give Jason Kidd and his coaching more credit? Because he is also a guy when he was the version of Jason Kidd coaching the Nets didn't look like the guy who coached the Bucks. And the guy who coached the Bucks doesn't look like the guy who coached the Mavs now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's funny. There's this approach, and the Celtics went through this with Joe Mazzulla over the last, really even this year at times too, where coach comes in and we're expected he should be perfect day one. But if a player comes in and says, they're a rookie, they're going to figure it out, they're going to learn, they're going to get there. And if it takes a couple of years, it takes a couple of years, and we all give them that leeway. But with a coach, it's like, nope, you should know everything you need to know about being a coach day one of starting a job. And it's sort of like, that's not how this works. They need time too. And I think Jason Kidd has improved over the years, whether it be, his time with Milwaukee, helping him learn some stuff. He's talked openly about going to the Lakers and being an assistant under Frank Vogel. He learned a lot of stuff from Frank Vogel just about, don't overreact. Make sure you kind of stay in the moment with what's going on. And, while you're staying in the moment, just keep your principles, your big pictures in mind. And just if something's not working, doesn't mean it's throw it away forever. You can come back and talk a lot about those things. I think he's really improved as a coach. You don't get to the finals if your coach stinks and is terrible. And that's the thing that I think people just sometimes they look for reasons to be against a lot of these guys, and that's kind of where we've landed out with Jason Kidd. It's people are just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, and I don't know how much of it holds up.
Talking with Keith Smith from SpotTrack.com, NBA insider. Of course, you can follow him on the Twitter platform at Keith Smith NBA. Keith, speaking of coaching, I pushed it off as far into the conversation as I could. What on earth is going on with this Dan Hurley to the Lakers thing? Because for most sports fans, Keith, they see the news this morning that Lakers are targeting Dan Hurley, and you know what the response I've seen almost everywhere, Keith, is why?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, right? It's not something I think any of us expected. It's not something I think any of us, had any inkling that was going on. Quite frankly, the Lakers and Dan Hurley did a pretty good job of keeping all this very quiet in an age where things don't get kept very quiet. We generally hear something about these things, and I think for the Lakers, they're trying to do something different. Right? They're trying to get to a place where it is, hey, we think we can do something here that this guy can come in, help us build. One of the reported things that's been out there, and it's been mentioned a few times now, is help us build a program, which I think they're looking more like, hey, he's used to every year I get to kind of refresh and add some guys around the talented guys they bring back. Well, I think they're thinking in the NBA, if they get to a point where they're an extremely expensive team with all these new restrictions with eBay and the like, it will be, hey, let's try to really kind of refresh around these guys, and we're just going to keep adding and developing, building up our talent base. And I think that's really important for the Lakers. They're trying to go a different way, and Dan Hurley's going to be the one who ultimately benefits from it. If it goes this way, massive contract is what the reporting was from Woj. I think it's going to be a lot of years and a whole lot of money.
Okay, but what you described doesn't sound like a typical NBA coach. And we've seen college guys have mixed results in the NBA. Now, it should be noted the last time a guy left college after winning a national championship with Larry Brown, and his career is pretty darn good. But I'm trying to figure out what kind of coach Dan Hurley would be in the NBA, because there's all the stories about, like, he has guys dribbling with baseball gloves on, he has guys doing lateral drills for an hour in the gym. Like, you can't be asking LeBron James to do that.
No, there's a good adjustment to have to make for sure. And I think one of the things is he is extremely emotional as a coach. He gets very loud, he rides the officials, and NBA officials, if they're nothing else, they're extremely sensitive. And they would love nothing more to be like, hey, college boy, hit the college, you're out of here. You can't act the way you're acting
right
on the sideline with us. It's going to take some adjustment. But he's been around the program quite a bit. So I think he will figure that out. So I think what's going to ultimately happen here with Dan Hurley is, I think what you'll see is he'll adjust that. But he is a very good game coach. He's been, known to make really good adjustments and things. Stuff, sure. I mean, we've all heard he has very long practice, very loud practices. Practices that are pretty intense some of the time. But in the NBA, I don't know that the average man realizes how little NBA teams practice. They maybe practice once every 2 weeks. And that's really only if you get 2 days off in a row. Days off in between are either generally travel days or they are like recovery days where you're getting treatment. You might go over some film. And then most of what they do is installed in a walkthrough ahead of the game. They'll put in their stuff. That's why in the regular season they don't game plan opponent to opponent. It's more, this is what we do. This is how we're going to play. So I think that's the stuff we really have to know with Dan Hurley is it'll be a major adjustment for him, and we'll see if he can make it. But to your point of, it doesn't sound like an NBA coach. They're trying something different. I think the Lakers' read on this is we have to build our rosters differently. We cannot continue to just build these rosters that are super top heavy. We've got to get somebody in that can identify talent and then develop that talent on the back end of the roster. That's how we're going to win is on the edge.
Now, with all that being said, of course, there's the other part of this conversation, which is that guy LeBron James. I know there's some people who have found tweets of LeBron saying how much he loves Dan Hurley and his offense, his creativity. Do you buy the idea that LeBron would like to hire? Or do you think that's just people trying to, do like Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and create a connection?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that, but I think the bigger thing is, I believe, because the reporting has now been out there from several different people through several different outlets, that LeBron and the Lakers basically said, hey, you need to hire the best guys for you, and I'm going to still play. Yeah, I might be here a year, might be here 2 years, 3 years, but go out and get the guy you think is going to be the best head coach. So I don't know that LeBron is for it, against it. I honestly don't know that it really matters too much. Now, I'm sure there'll be at least, or already was, some level of phone call of, hey, if we hire Dan Hurley, you're not going to turn right around to sign your option hold, are you? And I'm sure they got an answer that they felt good about, but I don't know that they're making this hire solely with LeBron in mind. I think it is much more of a, hey, let's just hire the guy we think is best for the Lakers moving forward.
Well, to that point, Rich Paul was the one who kept saying LeBron's going to be a free agent. So, I mean, is Rich Paul just trying to, create a stir about LeBron, or is like LeBron could go be a free agent and then re-sign with the Lakers? I mean, there's a scenario, how it is. These guys going away for USA basketball. LeBron could be like, whatever. I'm going to go play for USA basketball. I'll get back to you after the Olympics. Like, there's a scenario where that happens.
I don't think it'll go that. I mean, it's middle of August by the time that would be. I don't think LeBron will hold off that long. I think it'll be done long before he leaves for Team USA duties and all that. But yeah, I think Chris Paul is basically saying, hey, we have a player option. He can be a free agent. I think that was more of him saying, run as control. Like, then he very quickly backtracked and impressed on that and saying, I don't know what we're going to do yet. We haven't got to a decision. I think that was more saying, hey, we have control of this situation. We want to stay, we'll stay. If we want to explore other options, we'll explore other options. I think that's all it was. I wouldn't read too deep into that.
Well, maybe Rich Paul was doing his best to tell him something. So
it could be.
Before I let you go, Keith, one more NBA related topic, which is, and I know this offseason is going to be wild because the finals to the 2-day NBA draft. 2 days later is the free agency. Several days later, they're reporting to Vegas for training camp. So for you, when you look at this offseason, who is the guy not named LeBron? Who is the guy not in the NBA Finals? Who is the player storyline that you are most intrigued by?
Okay, I'm going to give you kind of two here. For a player, it's Paul George. I very much thought when Kawhi Leonard extended in January, we'd hear Paul George within days and maybe a week or so later. We're now, weeks from free agency starting, and Paul George hasn't extended. So I think there's a good chance Paul George is actually in play this summer. And if he is, that'll start to change things because that changes instead of looking at the free agent board and saying, all right, every one of the good free agents is returning where they are. So we're going to use everything for trade to make up trades. That's it. Then I'll give you two teams that I think are really going to kind of control the process here. I think Philadelphia, obviously, very good team. Even if that roster is kind of down to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey at a whole bunch of spots, they've got $60+ million to work with to fill those spots. So they're going to have a lot of say in what goes on this summer. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, really, really good team. Only one real rotation spot that they need to fill. They've got $35 million to play. So they are going to have a chance here to add a major player into that group there and just take that team to a whole different level. So those are the kind of stories in groups that I'm really interested to see how it plays out between Paul George, the Sixers, and then the Thunder.
He's Keith Smith, SpotTrack.com for all of his coverage of the NBA. At Keith Smith NBA for everything he's doing. Of course, the front office show podcast as well. Keith, appreciate you jumping on today. Great insights, and we'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
And of course, 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleys is your trusted source for heating and plumbing service and installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadly.net. Coming up next, we get back to the Phillies. Phillies sweep the Brewers. Bob White will join us from Crossing Broad and OctoberPhilly.com for more on that. Josh Eddy hanging out with you, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
I didn't think we had all the right coaches in the proper spots that could help us, whatever decides.
3, 2, 1. It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia. It's the third month of Matt Black Kia's 2 for 222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for 222. All new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. Zero security deposits and just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for 222? I'm turning for 50 per week. We want to approve you today with zero down and pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia storage and stock. Or buy home 2 Kia Fortes for 222.
Gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Credit for storage, $65,000. All qualifying credit offers can be combined with Matt Black Kia MJ.com for complete details. 505-670. License registration and taxes through KMS 24 months, 11 per month, $2,000 per year. He be financed for year. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Forest. Harbor Township. Route 37 in Tom's River.
Keeping you from learning the language you've always wanted to speak? Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make learning fun. Fun isn't hard. Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel, not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there?
You know, totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my... Ooh, I love that it's a spray. Me too. And it comes with sticks and cream too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
This Father's Day, the Home Depot has same-day delivery on the perfect gift to help Dad be everything he can be. Because your dad is more than just a dad. He's groundskeeper of the yard, the perfecter of the patio, and the cleaner of the clippings. Let the Home Depot help power Dad's doing with the convenience and gas-like power of Milwaukee cordless outdoor tools. Plus, get up to $150 off select Milwaukee tools. For everything Dad is, find the perfect gift at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order selected stock items by 4 p.m. subject to availability.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
An extension for Embiid. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. If the Philadelphia Inquirer's Keith Pompey reporting that Joel Embiid is available for an extension this offseason, then just wondering, would you want the Sixers to extend Embiid this offseason? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. In my estimation, I do not believe the Philadelphia 76ers should extend Joel Embiid this year because he is still under contract for the next 2 seasons and also has a player option after that. If the Sixers were to sign him this offseason to an extension, it would be through the 2029 season and he would be 35 years of age. I just think it's too early to tell if they want to extend Embiid to another contract. Text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day. Veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend, made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend, plus receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tonight, rain chances go away, and as we dry out and humidity starts to fall, our weather will turn more comfortable again. Overnight low temperature 67. Tomorrow, not as humid, partly sunny and breezy, high 83. Saturday, also a nice day, mostly sunny with late-day clouds, high 79. There will be a chance of a shower early Sunday morning, otherwise a mix of sun and clouds, and our high again 79. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Get ready for the ultimate showdown. Tale of Garcia, presented by Danny Garcia's new Swift promotion, is coming to Atlantic City. Mark your calendars for June 15th at the Boardwalk Hall. Witness the thrill of live boxing like never before. Don't miss out on the action-packed event of the summer. Get your tickets now. Tale of Garcia, where champions are made and legends are born.
You're listening to the Sports Bag with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Josh, I think back here, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Back to the Phillies as they get ready to go play in London Stadium, Saturday and Sunday. Keep that in mind. That's why you got a 1 o'clock game on Saturday and a 10:10 Eastern time first pitch. Although I'm sure Bob Wankel is very familiar with waking up in the morning because he has young ones, so he's pretty familiar with. I'm sure, Bob, you're like, I don't mind that 10:10. You got to get my work done early, right?
10 a.m. is like prime time for me right now, man. I'm up for a good 5 hours at that point, so that's no problem at all.
Bob, first of all, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. Good to talk to you.
So I want to know from you, Phillies sweep the Brewers, okay? They're tied with the Yankees, both at 44-19, right? So right now, we're kind of at that point where you're past it's too early in the season, right? We're out of April, we're into June, we're in hitting season, as Charlie would say. So for right now, for the Phillies, how much of what we've seen do you believe is going to be translatable into when we actually get to the postseason?
It's a good question. I mean, when you get off to this type of start, I don't think that people are asking themselves anymore, is this a playoff team or can they win the East? It's really, can they finish the deal this time around? Right. And I think that the Phillies know that. I mean, this is a really motivated team that fell short last year. They've won a lot of games over the last 2 seasons and 2.5 seasons, I guess now. And I think there are a lot of questions like, hey, should they have run this team back? Should they have brought back the same pieces? And so far, they're proving that, yeah, absolutely, that was the right call. Not only are they good enough, but they're super dialed in, and they're proving a point here. I think right now, the pitching, you have to feel great about it. I mean, look, of the National League starting pitchers right now, Ranger Suarez is number 1 in ERA, Zach Wheeler's 3, Sanchez is 5, and Nola is 6. I mean, that's as good as it gets. 4 of the top 6 guys. They're one of 3 teams that are scoring 5 runs per game in Major League Baseball right now. So I know the offense has been a little bit inconsistent, but they're still comparatively very good. And if you just go back to May 1st with the bullpen, they have the best bullpen ERA, 1.81 bullpen ERA since May 1st. It's far and away the best overall. And then this past homestand, they gave up 1 earned run in 22 1/3 innings pitched. So where's the weakness, right? Like if you had to pick a weakness, it's probably consistent offensive output. But you're really getting in close here. You have to zoom really, really close at this point to say, oh, this team's flawed. Or, when you look at the rest of the sport, I don't like how they sit versus the rest of it. So, yeah, is this team real? It is. I mean, it absolutely is. If they play 500 the rest of the way, they're going to win 93 games. It's pretty good, man.
You just mentioned about the inconsistencies within the offense, okay? Well, what Philly fans are saying, that offense is arguably why we lost the World Series and why we lost the NLCS, because the offense went ghost on us. So for you, Bob, is the team as currently constructed good enough to do what needs to be done? Or, as some people have clamored for, you need more bats?
Yeah, great question. Are they good enough to win the World Series as constructed? I would say yes. Does that mean that they're going to be complacent and go in as is? I would say no. I think that they know they have weaknesses, and I think that they know that they're a very hot and cold offense. And, Dave Dombrowski's, I guess, MO over time has been, being aggressive, going for it when it's warranted. And this year is a little bit different than the previous 2 years. Like, yes, they were good enough to make a run. Yes, they were good enough to win the World Series, but they were going in as a wild card team. They weren't going to win the division. They don't have this context of we blew it last year kind of looming over them. I expect them to add to that outfield mix from an offensive standpoint. I do. When you look at their offensive outfield right now, this group that they have, there are some usable parts, and in certain matchups, they can have some success, but it's still a bottom 10 offensive outfield group. And it's a glaring weakness for them. Johan Rojas has done some nice things. Christian Pache's had some moments. Nick Castellanos has gotten better. Brandon Marsh can hit righties. David Dahl's done a nice job in a few games. But it's very clear that they don't have a guy that they can just simply run out there every day and feel great about. And I expect them to take the next step here and kind of make a go-for-it move and add another offensive bat, an outfield bat to this mix. I expect that at this point.
Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad, RedOctoberPhilly.com, joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. I got to ask you about him. Nick Castellanos, all of a sudden, 2 straight days, he's the reason why you win ball games all of a sudden, right? The worst hitter in baseball, arguably, in the month of April, has turned into a guy hitting 4 homers in the last 14 days. So for you, Bob, is Nick Castellanos coming around, or is this the latest example of Nick Castellanos got hot randomly?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, he has a 794 OPS over his last 15 games. He has a 779 OPS over his last 30 games. And certainly these past couple games have helped him a little bit. They've pumped up these numbers. He hasn't been quite that consistently good over a 30-game stretch. But look, I mean, if you take the April out of the equation, which you can't do, but if you were to do it and just look from May 1st onward, his OPS is sitting in around mid-700s. He's been okay. He hasn't been a difference maker. He hasn't been elite. Hasn't played an all-star level from an offensive standpoint, but he's been functional. He has not been nearly as bad as probably his overall season is being assessed as right now. I talked to Mike a little bit about this last week, and I said, as frustrating as he is, and he puts together these feeble at-bats where you kind of just shake your head and say, like, what are we doing here? What are we watching right now? He's still, with this current group of outfielders, has by far the most upside. He's the only one that has a bat that can be potentially game-changing even when it's not. So that's why you run him out there every day. You let him try to fight his way through it, and he is showing signs of doing that right now. When they make this move that I'm talking about before the deadline of bringing in another bat, I don't think it's to aid or replace Nick Castellanos. I think it's kind of a supplemental piece. I expect Castellanos to be this team's right fielder this season throughout, and that includes the postseason, as frustrating as he can be.
Yeah, I don't anticipate them getting rid of Castellanos anytime soon at all. I agree with you there. But I'm trying to decipher, right? Because the report came out from Passan on Monday from ESPN about, well, what about Randy Arozarena and Luis Robert Jr. and Kyle Tucker? And now SI put out that salacious article today saying, oh, maybe this is Kyle Tucker is the biggest move the Phillies could make. And I keep going back, Bob, to what Dave Dombrowski said last month to Joel Sherman and John Heyman, where he said, you don't want to make the wrong move and disrupt the chemistry. And I keep going back to, you take your car into the shop to get new tires, right? You don't want the car to come out with a busted, tailpipe. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want them to go out and get a guy who's going to disrupt what the good vibes are going right now.
Yeah, I think that that's absolutely fair. And this is something I've thought about because, we talk about vibes and we talk about clubhouse chemistry, and I believe that that is a very big part of the Phillies' success over the past couple seasons. I do. Certainly you have to have the pitching, and you have to have guys that are productive offensively, and you have to be able to play some defense. And like it's about skill and it's about ability at the end of the day. But as an X factor, I think that this Phillies group is extremely tight. It's a really professional clubhouse, one that cares about one another. These guys really like each other. It's legit. Like all those stories that you hear about with these guys, like how close they are and how they want to win and the pride and the way they go about their business, it's all real. So you certainly don't want to do anything that's going to drastically alter whatever vibe or feeling is going on within that clubhouse. That being said, they all want to win a World Series. They all want to win a World Series. And if they have to tweak and make a change and subtract to some degree from what they have in order to be better, I think they're going to have to do it. And I think everybody in there is professional enough to understand, like, this is what had to be done. As I said before, I don't think that means Nick, but is there a world where you subtract to just clear up the roster spot, a Christian Pache or even a Johan Rojas? Maybe you have to do that to get better.
Well, for example, the one idea I mentioned, I'm not saying it's the best idea in the world, Bob, but what if you take one of your prospects, pair him with Whit Merrifield, call the Tigers and say, hey, what about this top prospect? And you take Merrifield, he could be an everyday player for you, and we'll take Veerling back. Like, that's a guy who's got positional versatility, a right-handed bat. He knows the locker room already. So it's like it's not a literal subtraction, but you're also bringing in a guy who's like a no offense to Randy Arozarena. I know he's having a bad year, but the dude is still like has a pedigree. Like you can't tell Randy Arozarena, hey, welcome to Philadelphia. You're only playing half of the next 50 games.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, look, a guy like Matt Veerling would obviously present an upgrade. He's had a pretty decent season. He does have that positional versatility in the outfield that you talked about. He's athletic enough that he can kind of play all three spots if need be. And he does give you a little bit of punch from the right side. When you look at Whit Merrifield, people are like, oh, are they going to cut this guy, on Memorial Day? And you pay a veteran player $8 million to have some pedigree, to be able to play multiple positions, and parting ways with him right now would be premature, but the clock is ticking on Whit Merrifield. There's no question about it. It's not like, oh, wow, you look at him statistically and say, oh, he's underperforming, but it's a product of bad luck, or maybe we can just get him some more reps. Like, that's what the Phillies are publicly saying. Well, if we get him more consistent at bats, maybe he'll be a little bit better. But I mean, they know that these at-bats have not been up to par. They know that he's not making hard contact. He's among the worst in the league in terms of making hard contact, hitting the ball with a decent exit velocity. Like, none of the StatCast numbers look good for Whit Merrifield. So he's running out of time. Like, they will reach a point probably sometime before the trade deadline in July where they evaluate and say, like, this guy just isn't it this year. We got to move on. So I think that when you're looking at what they're going to do and make a move regardless or independent of who they bring in, I think it's that group of outfielders that you're talking about. One of or two of Whit Merrifield, Johan Rojas, who another team would covet. They'd be interested in him, or Christian Pache, who right here now is sort of redundant with Rojas, but provides some value for a team that is looking for a younger player. He's only 25 years old. He's pretty good defensively. They feel like he's taken some steps forward from an offensive standpoint, but is he a piece on a World Series team? That kind of may not be it. So I think that they have the ability to move on from one or two of these guys if they want to bring in that right piece.
A couple more for Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad and RedOctoberPhilly.com. Joining me here on the Sports Bash, Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. I asked this question a couple days ago. I wanted to reappropriate it for you, Bob, okay? And that is, I look around baseball right now. Ben Brown, Spencer Howard, Nick Pivetta. These are all guys who were traded in recent years, right? Because they were considered expendable. Now you kind of look around and be like, I'm not sure that those guys would necessarily fit on this team, but Pivetta would be better than Taijuan Walker, right? Maybe Ben Brown will be better than Taijuan Walker. There's a party that kind of has a little bit of a longing feeling for your ex, right? So, looking at the Phillies right now, is there a pitcher in this organization that kind of makes you say, I kind of hope they don't trade that guy because he could be the next Ben Brown, Nick Pivetta?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, they're fortunate because they have parted with some decent pieces. Pivetta, I just don't think was going to work out here. But he's taken a step forward, and he's been pretty good for the Red Sox. He was very good against the Braves yesterday. Ben Brown's done a nice job for the Cubs. They've been lucky, though, with the development of Christopher Sanchez. They've been lucky that Spencer Turnbull came in and gave them that depth. The obvious answer here, Josh, is certainly Andy Painter, who, is hurt and probably won't be ready until the beginning of, if maybe not the late spring next season. That being said, when you look at the other names that we're all familiar with, the Mick Abels of the world, like if a team said, hey, meaningful piece, we're going to send you a meaningful piece, but we like Mick Abel, like, you have to go do that. You say, okay, sure. You want Mick Abel? Here you go. Have him. I think that they have probably two guys right now that you just are non-starters in Aiden Miller and in Painter. And other than that, what do you want, guys? If it's the right player.
I would add Crawford to that too, because I genuinely think Crawford, I see him, like, when Castellanos is no longer here, I can totally see him being in right field.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's done a great job. He's moving up there. If you look at like MLB Pipeline, Baseball America, the prospect rankings, he's certainly done a nice job. I do wonder, even though the fit for Miller is less natural because your infield looks a little bit more solidified than the outfield. I wonder if it were the right player. And I don't know who that is necessarily, but I think for the right player, they still may entertain Crawford. But I doubt that comes together. I think that they know that they have these holes and these weaknesses in the outfield currently, and he's a player that within a year or two could probably slide in and fill one of them. So we'll see what happens here, but I just expect them, like, here's what I would just say, just to kind of put a bow on it. These past 2 years, it was like, ooh, are they going to go out and add a name? Are they going to really bring in a difference maker? And they kind of did like some stopgap stuff or like some like temporary plugs, but not the wow move. I think if that wow move exists this year where you say, oh, damn, they're really going for it, I just wouldn't be surprised if they did it this time.
Before I let you go, Phillies, Mets in London. But the storyline, Bob, is not only the Mets. Not one, but two left-handed starters in London. We got Minaya and Quintana, the scheduled starters. How interesting will these lineups be potentially this weekend?
Yeah, I guess don't expect to see David Dahl. And so this is the weakness. Like you see these left-handed starters and you go, okay, like, well, we know obviously you put Castellanos in right, and then you're looking at that combination of Pache, Merrifield, Rojas to kind of round it out. And, like, look, they're fortunate in that, like, though it is a weakness and though it is less than ideal right now, when you're 25 games over 500, you can kind of just buy some time and see how things play out. But yeah, I mean, like, look, I expect them to come out with Pache and Rojas in left and center along with Castellanos. But, I mean, if we're being real here, like that
was a great stop. You're like, man.
Yeah. Sometimes you wonder, like, so, how, like, when you watch the NFL, right? You watch every team. And so, like, if the Eagles don't play well on a Sunday, you sit there and say, like, okay, like, I know that the Eagles have flaws and deficiencies, but I watch the Cowboys play and I don't think that they're great, or I don't think that the Packers are great. And so you can kind of work yourself into knowing that the other teams have these holes too. In baseball, it's different. Everyone watches 162 of the Phillies and they very rarely peek into other teams. So you look at the Phillies, you go, how's this team so good? Like, they got these holes. Look at this outfield. But when you zoom out and you look at the rest of the sport, you realize, like, there are other teams that would have Christopher Sanchez the way he's going right now as their number two. Every lineup is a guy or two short.
Well, look at a team like the Tigers with Screwball. It's like, I mean, like, who the heck was that guy, before this year? Like, he was kind of like a meh player, people might have heard of him, but it's like now all of a sudden he's like a Cy Young favorite.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, look, you look at the Brewers, probably arguably the second or third best team in the National League so far this year. The second best offense right now in runs per game in the National League. And they came in and they scored what against the Phillies this week? 2 runs in 3 games.
One of them thanks to Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so every team's kind of going through it. Every team's got some issues. And right now the Phillies are just so lucky that that staff has been as good as it's been. And it's just covered up some of those issues.
I just thought of this in really quick. Any takeaway thought from the Hoskins return stuff? Any like Like, did you feel it was too much? About right enough? You think that because some people in the national media they keep ripping the Philly fans, and they're like, wow, how can you cheer for this guy? You already cheered for him once.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that the fans did a really good job. I mean, he got a good ovation at the start of each of the 3 games. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was more than he deserved. He was a big part of this team and a really likable guy, a great dude. And I think that the fans acknowledge that, his contributions helping bring this team in part back to relevance again. And so good. Yeah. But then he comes up in because I thought cheering or the mixed applause for the home run was kind of weird, honestly. Like, I don't know that we needed to go there with it, but he comes up late with a chance to win the game or put the Brewers in front on Tuesday night. And I mean, they booed the heck out of him. So I thought that the fans did a good job on both sides of it with Rhys Hoskins this week.
Yeah, I sometimes think people just like to complain about Philly fans because they're Philly fans.
Now, if he comes back in October, I would not expect the same reception.
If anybody applauds for him in October, then we got a problem.
No, I don't think there's going to be any of that. I really don't. So,
speaking of, RedOctoberPhilly.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, talks some Phillies. Bob, enjoy the couple of days of no Phillies before we have the London games. Early start times, 1:10, 10:10. It's Bob Wankel's prime hours of the day.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Josh. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Appreciate it. Bob Wankel here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennick filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. In the 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash, being brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning. Broadlee's is your trusted source for plumbing, heating, and air conditioning service and installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadlees.net. We'll wrap up the 3 o'clock hour. Coming up on the other side, Josh Hennick filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it. That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a Father's Day gift from the Home Depot. Because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. For Father's Day, upgrade his gear with the Husky 270-piece mechanics tool set from the Home Depot. Just $99. Perfect in the hands of a pro or a dad. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-632-4055 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-632-4055. That's 800-632-4055. What do you have to lose? Call 800-632-4055. Again, 800-632-4055.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, before we get out of here, finish the 3 o'clock hour. Still to come, Andrew Checo, Football at Forward, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Knicks Nuggets are also still on the way. I did want to hit on the texter from earlier who said the Lakers are trying to mimic what the Celtics did with bringing in Brad Stevens. That would suggest the Lakers have a plan. I think the problem with a team like the Los Angeles Lakers is they don't actually have a plan. And the reason why this NBA offseason is going to be fascinating is because I don't think teams like the Lakers and Celtics have a legitimate plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. I think the Sixers literally have a list of like, hey, if we don't get this guy, we're going to shift to this guy. And then we'll go to this guy. Like, I don't think the Lakers or Clippers are like, hey, I know what we're going to do if we lose LeBron and Paul George. Football at 4 coming up next.
Summer is around the corner, and Broadly's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning is ready to keep you cool. Call to schedule your AC tune-up before the busy season arrives and ask about their family comfort plan for extra savings and same-day service all summer long. Looking to replace your AC system? Take advantage of 0% financing and rebates up to $1,500 on select equipment. Don't wait for the summer heat. Call Broadly's today, your local factory-authorized Bryant dealer at 609-390-3907 or visit Broadleys.net. Bryant, whatever it takes.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables in wash scent beads.
You're ready for a perfect summer on the lawn. But wait, there are weeds, brown spots, and mosquitoes everywhere. It's time to call True Green, nutrient-rich fertilization. True Green applies fertilizers tailored to your lawn in precise amounts, enhancing turf growth with a deeper green hue. Get 1 application free. All you have to do is water and mow. Get a head start on an outdoor living space to be proud of. Hurry, offer ends June 18th. Get the best lawn at the best price, guaranteed. Restrictions apply. Call True Green today.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Cease and
seasons change, why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is South Jersey's radio home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers. WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Andrew DeCecco, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
We're never satisfied. That hunger for more. I have it. Everyone has it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, and wherever you get your podcasts. Andrew DeCecco is back. He was at minicamp, and he'll give us the latest, his thoughts on this Eagles team. As you know, minicamp, I know it's not training camp, but it's still interesting, some of the takeaways we all have from it, as Andrew DeCecco joined us. Andrew, welcome in. How's your day going?
Josh, good to be with you. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. So I think the big interesting part of this is we haven't had a mandatory minicamp since 2019. So let's just start big picture. Andrew, for you, is there like a big picture perspective takeaway from the first mandatory minicamp in that long of a time?
Yeah, well, they're able to get the meetings and some of the housekeeping issues or items out of the way so that when you get to training camp, you're able to hit the ground running. And there's not a lot of wasted time. There's not that tutorial and trying to introduce yourself to a new offense. So I thought that there was a lot of value, Josh, of the Eagles getting up to speed and learning. You have two new coordinators on offense and defense. So acclimating and sort of finding your way and finding out what you're being asked to do is super beneficial. And I saw a lot of structure. It was really fast paced. The practices went just over an hour. And I thought that there was very little wasted time. And I thought that it was really efficient and beneficial.
Now, you mentioned about getting guys up to speed. Obviously, a lot of eyeballs are on the defensive side of the ball. And let's start with a position that was a weakness at times last year, Andrew. The top two linebackers, Devin White, Zach Bond. We know Vic Fangio talked about Zach Bond previously. So, Andrew, for you, how impressed were you with those two guys on the field?
Yeah, I was really impressed, actually, with Devin White. And look, athleticism was never a question with Devin White. It was always about being able to play within the confines of the defense, not going rogue or playing unrestrained and trying to take too many chances out there. But to kind of sum up what he's able to bring to the table in terms of his skill set, I always harken back to the play early in OTAs where he's carrying Saquon Barkley down the left sideline on a wheel route, tightly covering him to the point where the ball falls incomplete and it was right in the vicinity. That tells you what he's able to bring in terms of coverage acumen, being able to have the ball skills at that position that the Eagles haven't had in quite some time. And he's rangy. He's sticky in coverage. The Eagles have thrown a lot of short to intermediate routes to the running backs and tight ends, and he's been right there contesting passes. Zach Bond, to me, is the wild card because he's being asked to play a position he's never had to really do at any point in his career, very sparingly. And the fact that he's rolling out with the ones opposite Devin White, it makes you wonder where the Eagles are going in terms of that position, because I think eventually they're going to have to turn things over to Nakobe Dean, who has been primarily working with the second team, has mixed in sparingly with the first team. But I think ultimately it's going to be Nakobe and Devin White when things really ramp up in late July.
So it was going to be, in your projection, Dean and White as the two top linebackers and Bowen is the wild card. How is that three-man tandem? How is that an upgrade over what we had last year? Because we know, Andrew, the last two times the Eagles reached the Super Bowl, it was because they got quality play from the linebackers.
Well, if Devin White plays the standard, and I have no reason to assume that he won't under Vic Fangio, who's very demanding and he's going to demand accountability and expect that you're playing within structure, I think that's going to ultimately evoke the best out of Devin White. So I think that alone is an upgrade. But factoring in a healthy Nakobe Dean, and yes, I understand he played in 5 games last season, 4 starts, but he's 1 for 2 in his seasons. He didn't miss a practice or a game as a rookie, had injuries to both feet last year, so you don't want to minimize that, of course. But I'll say this: he looks noticeably bigger, at least to me. It looks like he put on a little bit of muscle in the offseason. And I think that it's too premature to write a player off who's just 23 years old. I think he's a highly intelligent player. He's cerebral. He brings a lot to the table in terms of intangibles. Now it's all about translating that onto the football field, being able to stay healthy and effective throughout the entirety of an NFL season. He has to prove that, but he deserves the benefit of the doubt.
Really quick on that, because you mentioned about being a full season, right, for Nakobe Dean. This is the guy who started pretty much almost every game in college. So for you, you're someone who studies the draft. You see these guys every down and down. You study them in college. You know, for you, aside from putting on the size and muscle and being physically better for the pros, was there something else about Dean from college to the pros that he is going to need to do now with Vic Fangio as DC to stay on the field?
Just being the smart and instinctive player that he is, being able to roam sideline to sideline. I think to play and be a functional piece in Vic Fangio's defense, Josh, you have to be a high IQ player and a versatile player. He is those. He has both of those qualities, but now it's about staying healthy and being able to put it together for a full season. We haven't seen that, and we also don't know how they plan to use him, right? I mean, who knows? Vic Fangio, we've seen him put Zach Bonnet inside linebacker. Who's to say that he doesn't view Devin White as the Mike linebacker and Nakobe as the will to maximize his skill set and keep him clean and available? So, I mean, look, I've been a pretty big advocate for Nakobe, and I think a lot of folks are, unfairly writing him off. This is a critical third season. I'm not going to minimize that, but like I said, let things play out. See how he looks in Vic Fangio's defense and see how he looks when the pads come on. That's going to be really telling about where he is at this stage of his career.
Andrew DeCecco joining us here, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. All of Andrew's Eagles coverage over at InsideTheBirds.com, and follow him on Twitter at Andrew DeCecco. Andrew, I have been borderline obsessed with this cornerback stuff, so I want to dig into this with you because I am so fascinated by, day one, it's Kelee Ringo. Day 2, it's Isaiah Rodgers. And it's Bradbury on the sideline day 2. It's Quinyon Mitchell getting reps in the slot. What is your take? Because we know who Slay is. We know he is a starting corner. But, I mean, is there really a reality where we could see a Ringo or a Isaiah Rodgers day 1?
Well, this is right in my wheelhouse because I've covered a lot of these younger corners extensively last season. I've gotten to know them pretty well. I know what they do well and what they don't do well. But to your point there, no, I think Darius Slay is going to be the top corner on this team, the day 1 starter. Now the question becomes who's going to be the starter opposite him on the outside, and to me that is going to be Quinyon Mitchell, barring something completely unforeseen. He's looked really good in practices, and you always want to kind of give the nod to the first-round pick and give him an opportunity to develop and work through some of those challenges that are inevitably going to happen early in your career. But this is a player who I've rarely seen him get beat. He's always around the football. He's tough. He's competitive. He has a quiet swagger. He's a reserve player, but I think that he is NFL ready. Cooper DeJean's caught my attention as well, playing in the nickel with the first team. And look, I think Kelee Ringo's done some really good things in this minicamp and OTAs. And I went into this whole process wanting to see more because the sample size was very limited last season, and I wasn't overly sold on what I saw. And for what I've seen right now, Josh, honestly, he's looked really impressive. I thought he had some really competitive reps with A.J. Brown. I thought he kept pace with John Ross on a couple of deep routes. I mean, he looks the part. He's athletic. But again, you have to see what happens when the pads come on and not overreact to what you see in spring practices, though it has been encouraging. But if you remember back to last summer, Ringo did not have a good training camp, and that was one of the big hang-ups to getting him on the field early. If you remember, Eli Ricks actually got on the field before he did, and so did Josh Jobe, by the way. But I think that Ringo has a lot of intriguing qualities, so I'm really interested to see what he's able to bring to the table this summer.
Focusing on Ringo really quick, Andrew, a lot of people have pointed out the fact that he is actually younger than Quinyon Mitchell. So is some of this stuff with Ringo, we have to understand that, hey, he is physically still developing. He is mentally still developing into what he can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Context is always important when you're looking at especially when you're assessing a young player. He's going to be 22 years old this month. He has yet to scratch the surface of what he's able to do. He has a coach in Christian Parker, the new defensive backs coach, who I believe, Josh, is going to be one of the top coaching additions of the offseason for the Eagles. I really like what he brings to the table in terms of just teaching the why behind the different calls, explaining everything, working on communication, simplifying things for his players to be able to execute fast and free. There's a lot of things that I really like with that signing, and I think he's eventually going to be a defensive coordinator. But you're seeing the communication right now. Yes, it is early, but last season you didn't see that. You certainly didn't see it in training camp, and you definitely didn't see it during the season. But I think right now you're seeing a more confident, patient, technically sound Ringo, which is really encouraging because, in my opinion, down the line you're going to see a secondary, which if the Eagles have their way, it would be Quinyon Mitchell and Ringo on the outside and Cooper DeJean in the nickel role, which is, that's a pretty good trio.
Couple more for Andrew DeCecco. Flip over to the offensive side of the ball here. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew, I was talking with former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemick yesterday, and he mentioned how he felt that one of the most important things about camp is you got a new offense coordinator. You got to get the offense starting, the install at mini camp, so these guys start getting in the rhythm of things well before training camp. So for you, what were your observations on the initial installs of Kellen Moore's offense?
Yeah, I agree with him, and that's kind of what I said at the top of our segment here, and why it was such a valuable 3 days and really OTA session. But from what I've seen, you're seeing some jet motion, you're seeing some trips and bunches, which we haven't seen. The offense is far less static than what we've seen. But again, I can't emphasize this enough. It's going to take some time. When you're totally revamping the offense, to expect everyone to be so dialed in this early is really unrealistic. So you have to put the context with everything. And right now you're seeing some good with Jalen Hurts. I think some of his best throws have been in tight windows to Dallas Goedert this spring. But you're also seeing some misfires deep and things like that. The time is going to come, and when you're throwing so many different new things at a player and players really that aren't accustomed to doing it, you have to iron some things out. And it's important to do now and get that out of the way so that when training camp rolls around, you're really able to kind of hit the ground running.
Fine, before I let you go, talk to me about Mekhi Becton. He got some valuable reps this week.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton playing some guard. That's not really a surprise. Jeff Mosher was on that right as soon as Mekhi Becton signed. So it was something to keep an eye on already. But, he looked really comfortable there, Josh, playing inside. Got some left guard reps, which was really telling because Matt Hennessy has played left guard with the Falcons, and he was not the first man up. He was second team right guard. So you're seeing Mekhi Becton out there, and I think, kind of Jeff Stoutland and the Eagles wanted to get a really good look at what they had there so that you have that knowledge moving forward over the next 6 weeks, and you can kind of plan ahead for training camp and how you plan to use them. Obviously, you want to get your best players onto the field, and Mekhi Becton, in my opinion, is one of the best linemen on the roster. It's never been about talent. It's been about health and consistency. So that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously they would like Tyler Steen to win that job. They draft him in the 3rd round, and they've invested a year of development in him. But just given the immense talent that Becton has, it wouldn't surprise me if he gives Steen a run for his money this summer.
He's Andrew DeCecco. Follow him on the Twitter X platform at Andrew DeCecco. Check out all of his work over at InsideTheBirds.com. And, of course, he will be back next week. Keep it tuned to the Inside the Birds podcast for all of his insights as well with Jeff and Adam. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me today. Keep up the great work, my man.
Appreciate it, Josh. Take care, man.
Josh Hennick filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Let's hit on what a couple things Andrew said there here on Football at 4, because I thought the last part of what he said was so important about Becton. He said, look, the issue with Becton was never the talent. So keep that in mind as we get closer. I have said multiple times, I am not convinced that Tyler Steen is the starting right guard for this team. And look, if Jeff Stoutland can take Becton's ridiculous size, his ridiculous physical gifts, and hone it into something valuable, there is a real possibility that Mekhi Becton could be this team's starting right guard when we get there. Now, I understand he was working at left guard in minicamp, so don't get too hung up on that. We heard from Jeff Mosher yesterday and said, Jeff was saying yesterday, don't take literal information from these training, from these mini camps. And we heard Dave Klemick say yesterday that, look, the difference between mini camp and training camp is right now, guys are getting a feel. You don't really get the real action until training camp. So Becton getting valuable reps, getting, hey, first team, you're next to Juergens, you're with Mailata, you're seeing Lane Johnson. So now when you get the training camp, late July, early August, it could be Becton versus Steen for that right guard. But you also heard Andrew say that Matt Hennessy was getting the reps with the second team. So even though Hennessy not necessarily competing for the guard position, but what did Hennessy play? Right guard, not center, with the second team offense. So do we have a 2017 redo where you have three guys going in to a season all competing for one job? Remember, in 2017, it was left guard, Chance Warmack, Isaac Seumalo, Stefan Wisniewski. By the end of the season, Wisniewski didn't just lock down the position. He became the surefire guy at the position. So now we go into now 2024, 7 years later, at right guard. We know the left guard is, that's Landon Dickerson. He's a Pro Bowler. He's a future All-Pro. He's going to be a really good player for years to come for you. But at right guard, Tyler Steen and Mekhi Becton, two very, very large human beings. I know Becton is the larger of the two, but don't undersell Tyler Steen. This is a guy who himself is 6'6". He's basically an inch shorter than Mekhi Becton. And while Becton's got about 30 to 40 pounds on him, Steen's a large man, okay? So you're talking about two massive men competing for the right guard spot. And who is the better equipped man? We're going to find out very quickly, because if nothing else, the Eagles trust Jeff Stoutland. They trust his opinion of what they should and shouldn't do. And we could get to the middle of August, right? And we may see a change, or we may not see a change, right? Steen may be the starter week 1 of training camp, and then Becton steals the job from him. Or what if Becton or Steen get injured? Does Hennessy slide in there and snag that opportunity? I'm very fascinated by the right guard position. And then the other thing Andrew was talking about with the corners here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Andrew talked about how Keely Ringo, he didn't have all the tools last year, and now he's got a year under his belt. He's a better player than he was last year. He's better equipped than he was last year. It could very well be that Ringo is going to legitimately push the other guys, right? It could very well be that when you have like Quinyon Mitchell and Ringo going in there, they may be competing for that job. And I'm with Andrew. I'm not convinced that Isaiah Rodgers is necessarily going to win that job, but someone needs to be the backup corner, right? So if something happens to Slay, if something happens to Mitchell, you're probably going to feel more comfortable going to Rodgers. You probably feel more comfortable going to Rodgers, Isaiah Rodgers, I should say, than Cooper DeJean early on. And if, as Andrew said, if DeJean is getting a lot of work in the slot, does DeJean eventually steal the job from Avonte Maddox? Okay. So those are some of my takeaways. And finally, he talked about Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean looks noticeably larger, put on muscle, put on size, became a more athletic version of himself. I find it very fascinating that if Nakobe Dean could be a better player this year, if he could establish himself as a bona fide player, maybe you do have a 3-man rotation at linebacker. We know Devin White is the most gifted player, right? We know Devin White, who he is. Devin White was a gifted athlete coming out of college, a phenomenal player for the Bucs team that won the Super Bowl. But he wasn't the same player at the end with the Bucs as he was at the beginning. And as Andrew said, if Devin White focuses, if he gets his head on right, there's something still there. There's something still there for Devin White. And then Nakobe Dean, we know what he can do. As Andrew said, Nakobe Dean's strength is we know who he is as, the instincts, the mindset. If the body catches up to the mind and the instincts, you could have a dangerous player. And as he said, the wild card, Zach Baun, because he said Zach Baun is a guy that he's never really played inside linebacker. So now they're asking him to play a position he's never played. How does he adjust? How does he take hold of those opportunities? Very fascinating to see how this all plays out. All right. We're going to check back in the text board coming up a little bit later. 609-403-0970. Your thoughts on the Eagles as they wrap up minicamp this week. Your thoughts on the Phillies traveling to London after sweeping the Brewers. Your thoughts on the NBA Finals tonight. All that and more still to come. But on the other side, Knicks Nuggets. Another day of Knicks Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. Josh Henning filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT, your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? we can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day. Veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend, made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend, plus receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Are you ready for your next adventure? As of yesterday, today, tomorrow, and years to come, Hitch RV is here to stay. As a family-owned and operated business since 2008, we understand the importance of family trips and hitting the open road in comfort and style. Experience no-pressure shopping with our unbeatable deals on a wide range of RVs. Shop all the top RV brands and come find your perfect RV today at Hitch RV. Visit us online at hitchrv.com. Discover the open road with Hitch RV.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
An extension for Embiid. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Philadelphia Inquirer's Keith Pompey reporting that Joel Embiid is available for an extension this offseason, that got us wondering, would you want the Sixers to extend Embiid this offseason? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. In my estimation, I do not believe the Philadelphia 76ers should extend Joel Embiid this year because he is still under contract for the next 2 seasons and also has a player option after that. If the Sixers were to sign him this offseason to an extension, it would be through the 2029 season, and he would be 35 years of age. I just think it's too early to tell if they want to extend Embiid to another contract. Text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Go for the parties and the payouts. Go for the dining and the unwinding. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tonight, rain chances go away, and as we dry out and humidity starts to fall, our weather will turn more comfortable again. Overnight low temperature 67. Tomorrow, not as humid, partly sunny and breezy, high 83. Saturday, also a nice day, mostly sunny with late-day clouds, high 79. There will be a chance of a shower early Sunday morning, otherwise a mix of sun and clouds, and our high again 79. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
New Jersey's got a lot of summer wow. We got your under the sun wows. Your this is too much fun wows. Your that wine was sublime wows. And your one more time wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic. You come with me. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. It's time for Nick's Nuggets. It's being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 5. It's going to be interesting today because Nick and I didn't have like the full breadth of time yesterday. Well, I got the break earlier. I'm on time. I'm in the work, and I'm better today, Nick. As Greeny always says, we'll do better tomorrow. Well, I am doing better. It is tomorrow, and it's time for Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bench at the proper time. How you doing, Nick?
Look at you, Josh. Listen, as long as you're getting better every day, we're all getting better every day, man. And look, right on time today. How about that? Look at this. This is going to be fantastic. I got a lot of good stuff planned for you today.
Okay, well, let's do it.
All right, we got to finish off our conversation, how it ended yesterday. I got to talk about the Embiid contract thing, right, with Nugget number one, because this is an interesting thing with me, right? So Embiid's under contract for the next 2 years after the next 2 years, right? And then he has a player option after that. So he'll be under contract until 26-27, okay? So he has that with that player option included in that. It's $106.6 million over the next 2 years he'll be getting paid with the $59 million option. He's 30 right now. He's going to be 31. He is now eligible, according to Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer, for a 3-year extension on top of the contract he is already owed, Josh. So he could, if he signed a 3-year contract today, an extension with the Sixers, he would be under contract until 2029 when he is age 35 years old. Josh, would it make sense for the Sixers right now to sign him to that extension? In my estimation, it wouldn't make any sense. I think you got to wait. We've seen how big guys, play out in their 30s, right? How they play out, how they kind of go about themselves, right? And it's not a pretty sight. Like, they kind of tail off once they hit their 30s, especially a 7-footer who's his size. That's what makes me nervous. I think he's got 2 really good years left in him, and I think that's when the downturn starts to happen. That's why I'd be very concerned about giving him another 3-year max extension at this point. I just can't do it yet.
So my position is a little twofold on this. Number one, because I've had some time to think about it. Okay,
good.
You gave me the 24-hour grace period to chew on this a little more.
You better been dreaming about it. I hope you were dreaming about it last night.
Oh, I definitely wasn't dreaming about Embiid last night. I can promise you that much. He was not in my dreams last night. Neither were you. So,
that's unfortunate.
But I will say that here's the thing. So it's two different thoughts in my mind here. Number one, I do agree with you. The idea that you don't want to get to age 35. Joel can't stay on the floor. Who knows what his body's going to be held up by that point? He's got a lot of miles of injuries on that body. So I do agree with you that there is a concern that you don't want to be paying Embiid like $60 million at age 35, right? Whatever the number might be. But you want to get him signed as soon as possible. And here's why. You don't want the new NBA TV contract to impact what you're paying Embiid at all, because that money's only going up. Those numbers, that revenue sharing, that CBA, that split, those max dollars, it's all going up, up, up. So to me, if Daryl Morey is smart, call Howie Roseman, get a little advice, do a deal with Embiid that looks good up front, but maybe not as juicy on the back end. Tell Joel, look, I believe you're one of the best players in the league right now, but I'm going to give you the money up front, and I'm not going to pay you as much on the back end. Maybe build one of those deals where it maybe trickles a little bit down the chart. Because get the deal done now, so when the new TV money comes in, you're not being like, a team like the Clippers who's going to be giving Paul George an overpay to get him to stay in LA.
I hear you. It makes total sense to pay him up front, right? I'm just concerned you're not going to get the production and the value at the price he's going to cost, right? At that point in his career. That's my thing. Like, he's good. I think he's going to take a downturn a little bit, especially because of the injury history.
But Nick, let me ask you this, okay? Because I asked this to Keith Smith an hour ago. Okay. Joel Embiid, because he doesn't have a ring, right? We kind of hold him to this other standard because Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. Karl Anthony Towns can't carry a team. Jason Tatum still hasn't won a ring. The list goes on. There are other players in the league who we have issue with, but because of Embiid's injury, we treat him differently. So what do you do with a guy who he's gifted, he's talented, but then you got people like Ryan Russillo complaining about how I'm tired of hearing about Joel Embiid until he does something.
That's not where I mean, though, because he's under contract for the next 2 years, right? Like he's going to be he's here. He's not going anywhere for a couple of years. My problem is when that new extension starts, you give him that 3-year extension, he's going to be into his mid-30s by that point. That's where I have the concern. And I think by then we're not going to have MVP level Joel Embiid. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But just based upon history and like guys of his size and his stature and the injury history, it's a short shelf life when it comes to having MVP type level play. I don't think he's going to be worth that contract at that point. Now, obviously, the salary cap's going to increase probably at that point because of the new TV deal, et cetera, but he's going to be in his mid-30s, and you're going to have him through 2029, 35 years old. I don't know if I'm on board with that right now. That's why I think this year it'd be too early to tell by giving him the contract. I think it's just too early to give him that extension. Now, next year, you revisit this. It's going to cost them maybe a little bit more, and maybe you see where you're at with Embiid because maybe you make a run next year because you have all this cap money, right? Because your window's the next 2 years. After that, it's like you hand the reins over to Maxey over the next 2 to 3 years. I think that's when you get the highest level of play from Embiid. I just don't know if it's worth giving him that much money and where he's going to be at in his career and age-wise, and who knows about his health.
Listen, I totally agree with you. And you have every right to be concerned, worried, not wanting. My position has been and will be, as I said, if you do the contract right, I'm not worried. But I am worried at the same time because I don't know if Daryl Morey has a Howie Roseman side to him where he can manipulate these contracts. Daryl is more about the creativity of the deal than he is about the actual, you don't want Daryl Morey getting rung over the coals by Jerry Maguire, show me the money because Daryl's more concerned about the other stuff over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think you can't give it to him now. He's under contract for 2 more years. He has the player option. I just think it's way too early. And with his age, his injury history, looking that far ahead, it would not sit right with me if you give him the contract right now and pay him that money. I just can't sit there and give him a 3-year extension based upon where he's at right now, where the Sixers are at right now. Maybe things change next year. They look a little bit different, but I'd wait at least another year before I'm like, hey, I'll give you that extension at 3 years, whatever you want. Listen, I love Joel Embiid. I think most people in Philadelphia do. But you have to be smart business-wise if you're in the front office and looking ahead if you're the Sixers too. Because your window's right now, but then looking ahead that far down, I don't know if that would be a financially smart decision by the 76ers and Daryl Morey.
All right, what we got for number 2?
All right, number 2. I don't know if you've seen this going around. It's kind of blown up on social media over the past couple of hours. Has to do with the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil, Josh. So Josh Jacobs, who former Oakland Raiders running back, is now on Green Bay. He's the running back for Green Bay. He went on Chris Long's podcast, okay? And he discussed that the Eagles and Green Bay can't wear green in Brazil. Now, first of all, the word green and the color green is in the name of Green Bay Packers. I mean, that's the color. The Eagles are also green. That's the colors of their jerseys as well. He also said that they would have to travel in armored vehicles. And the reason for this is due to gang activity in Brazil in and around where they're playing. Now, this is coming from Josh Jacobs on a podcast with Chris Long, former Philadelphia Eagle. Now, if you go back, Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports wrote an article about this, I believe a couple months ago, April 18th of this year. Now, apparently, I don't know if Josh Jacobs knows this or he was just kind of riffing about this whole thing where they can't wear the green jerseys. You can't really wear green around where they're going to be at in the stadium. The home soccer team where they're hosting the Eagles Green Bay game in week 1 in Brazil, their arch rival is the color green. Their arch rival team, the soccer team, is a color green. So that's probably the reason why he brought up the point of why they can't wear the green colors. So I don't know what we believe. I believe Jeff. I'm with Jeff on this one, but Josh Jacobs coming out of nowhere and saying this is the reason they can't wear green. This is just we're all over the place here, Josh.
Well, you know, a lot of times in these situations, Nick, I tend to be the voice of reason, right? And you know, because I spent I had a life before you knew me, Nick, and I was going to law school and everything. And one of the axioms of the legal profession is there are facts and then there are true facts. There are the facts that people find to support their argument because they walk in with a belief or a theory or an idea, and then there's the true facts that we use to actually delineate what the reality is of the situation. Because in the court of law, there are three sides to every story: the prosecution, the defense, and the truth. So what is the truth here? The truth is that both are correct. Jacobs and Kerr, okay?
Okay.
There are gang issues in Brazil, okay? There's a reason why the Fast and Furious movies were successfully presenting Brazil because of the stylized gang activity in the feature films, okay? There is a criminal issue in the country of Brazil. It was put up front because of the Olympics going there years ago. So we know that there is some stuff going on.
Right.
But it's not like it's necessarily more stuff, quote unquote, than if you went to the bad part of Camden or the bad part of Millville in New Jersey or the bad part of Newark, right? You go to a bad neighborhood, you're going to have some problems necessarily, okay? And you got to be smart about these things. So I do think that part is true. But I do also understand that the rivalries between soccer teams in countries like Brazil, countries like Germany, countries like Spain, it's a religion. It's like SEC football. It's Alabama versus Auburn and burning the trees down on the Auburn campus. It's the, Florida versus Georgia, where the fans, flatten the tires of all the RVs on the other side of the fandom, right? The Georgia fans, slicing all the Florida fan tires, right?
Right.
So there is a little something there too. So I do think that both are having some truth here, and we just kind of match it together. I do think there might have been some explanation because the NFL has a security team. They do have an advanced scout team. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to the Packers and the Eagles and said, guys, we're letting you know this is a business trip. It's not a vacation trip. You're going down to play football. You're not going there for a vacation. We're just letting you know right here, right now. And here are the reasons why. And maybe Jacobs wasn't fully paying attention or not. Maybe, maybe he heard parts of the information. Then he went back and rewatched a movie or two and was like, oh man, let me tell you, Chris Long.
He certainly caused a stir. He certainly caused a stir on the podcast because everybody seems to be talking about this now, that the teams are going to be, taking in armored vehicles. They're going to have to stay in their hotels, all this stuff. And then the green thing, I'm curious to see what jerseys the Eagles wear week 1 because I don't think we have that information yet. I wonder if they go with the black uni. I mean, clearly, I guess they can't wear the Kelly Greens in Brazil because that I guess that's out, right? So,
well, the other part of this is ridiculous.
The white too, I guess.
Really quick, Nick, for those who don't know, the color of the Brazilian flag is green.
I know. That's what's crazy about this. That's why I was like, what? So I can understand there's probably some issues, gang-related issues. That I understand. And then the soccer team thing, it just seems like if you were to wear Cowboys to an Eagles game, essentially. I mean, that's that part of it. But then the other part of it that Josh Jacobs is talking about is a whole nother thing. So it might be a little bit of combination of everything. Jeff Kerr, I'd highly encourage go read that because that gives a good breakdown on the soccer team side of this than what Josh Jacobs gave and the whole thing, the whole diatribe he had on Chris Long's podcast. Very interesting stuff from Josh Jacobs. Another thing to look forward to in week 1.
Yeah. All right, let's hit the pause button. Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennick, Philly from Mike Gill on 97.3. We'll let Nick unload the rest of the Nugs on the other side here on the Sports Bash. And, of course, his Nuggets are being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Go for the pulse and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a Father's Day gift from the Home Depot. Because he's not just Dad. He's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. For Father's Day, upgrade his gear with the Husky 270-piece mechanics tool set from the Home Depot. Just $99. Perfect in the hands of a pro or a dad. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
3, 2, 1.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
It's the third month of Matt Blatt Kia's 2 for $222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for $222. Brand new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. With 0 security deposit. And just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? Have a job clearing $450 per week? We want to approve you today. With 0 down. And pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia Sportage in stock. Or drive home 2 Kia Fortes for $222.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Sportage, $21.65 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-357-6499. 800-357-6499. 800-357-6499.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, Mike Gill here. Upgrade your outdoor look for summer with my friends at Progressive Fence and Railing. Whether it's a durable fence, glass, or cable railing, new shed, stylish deck, beautiful awning, or serene gazebo, check out Progressive's Spring Special. 20% off materials and a 4-year warranty extension, plus finance options that fit your budget. Privacy protection perfection. Grab estimate today. Visit ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, back to Knicks Nuggets. Of course, Knicks Nuggets each and every day here on the Sports Bash, being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 866-5. All right, Nick. We got the commercial break out of the way. The mic is yours here.
All right. All right.
About
So
what is on Nick Earnshaw's mind on Thursday, June 6th.
All right. So I got a last final nugget for you here, Josh. I don't know if you've seen this picture going around social media, but we have the London series. The Phillies are off today. They're off tomorrow. They'll be back on Saturday against the Mets, right?
I think this is what you sent me earlier. So.
Yeah. So I sent it to you earlier. I don't know what to make of this. So the Phillies and Mets, they're playing in London, and the MLBs come out with different merch for the London series, etc. They do this for all types of events. All the leagues do this, right?
Sure.
They came out with kind of a Hawaiian style button down shirt for this series between the Phillies and Mets, and it has the Phillies and Mets logo across the entire thing as just one, essentially. The entire look of the shirt is Phillies and Mets. Now, I don't know about you, but first of all, it's $145 for this shirt, which is absolutely crazy in itself. Number two, you're putting the Mets and the Phillies together? What are we doing here? They're not. I don't care that they're going to London and it's a big deal. I get it. But it's the Mets and the Phillies. You can't have them as one. We're not singing Kumbaya here with the Phillies and Mets. There, if you're watching on the stream on the X platform, we have it up. I mean, this is an atrocity. The Mets logo and the Phillies logo plastered across the entire shirt like a Hawaiian type shirt, buttoned down. This is an absolute atrocity of a shirt. This should be gone. This should never have been made. If you buy this and wear this, you don't know what you're doing. I cannot believe that whoever thought of this to put the Phillies and the Mets on the same shirt together as one. Now, if you had the London series logo or something and saying, hey, you went to this series, fine. But Josh, I have no words. We're in radio, and I'm a little lost for it. We work in radio. We talk. We say a lot of words every single day. Boom. I'm lost here. This one, Josh, I'm out on.
All right. So there's a couple issues with this shirt that I have. Okay. Number one, this is a total dress code violation.
Oh.
Okay. Because first of all, if you look at the shirt, if you see the picture, it's a full button down short sleeve. Now,
yes.
I will tell you right now, I am not a fan of the button down short sleeve. I'm a fan of the button down with the long sleeve, and you roll the sleeve up.
Okay.
You look more put together and professional. Okay. That's the first problem with this shirt. This is a cheap shirt. This is a cheap move by the makers to make a quick buck.
It's not even $145, Josh. It's not even cheap.
Well, I understand that. So I'm breaking the shirt down here. Okay. You brought this to my attention. I'm breaking it down. Second of all, why do the Mets get the better color than the Phillies do on the shirt? This is obviously a biased move by New Era and the producers of this shirt. Okay. Phillies should be Phillies P. Okay. The color of the Phillies, the red, not this off tan color they put on the shirt. Okay. That's the second problem I have with the shirt. Number three, you mentioned how it's a Hawaiian style. This is the worst Hawaiian shirt I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's not even colorful. The Hawaiian shirt is supposed to be pretty and fun and interesting. This is the shirt for the dude who doesn't know who to root for, isn't really a baseball fan, and wants to show up and look like he gives a darn. And he's never going to wear the shirt ever again because he's an idiot. And whoever he dates is going to tell him it's an ugly shirt.
Yes. Listen, you brought up a great point with the logo. At least the Mets have a little bit of color. The Phillies is so faint. It's so faint. The tan, it's an off. This is worse than Jerry wearing the puffy shirt in Seinfeld. This is 10 times worse than that.
This is definitely worse.
Oh my goodness. And it's the Mets too. It's like Newman made this shirt. And he's out there selling it. I mean, this is essentially what happened here.
Selling it like a scalper at a ball game.
Yeah.
That's what it's being.
It's like him and Kramer.
This is hanging in a store.
This is hanging in a store. It's got major league logos on it. It's just like Newman and Kramer going off and selling a shirt at the game.
Who wears a medium anymore?
A medium? I'm a medium.
You're a medium?
I'm a medium. Yeah, that's my size. What are you doing with the medium? What's wrong with the medium?
I mean, you're not wearing this shirt, so who's wearing this shirt? Who's buying a medium?
I don't know who's buying the medium. I don't know who's buying the small, the extra large, the XXL. I don't know who's buying the shirt in general.
Well, I mean, I could see the XL. I mean, I could see a gentleman who maybe's been drinking a lot of beer, wandering into the store, doesn't know much about baseball, being like, yeah, baseball, put a shirt on and go to the game. I can see that. I don't see Nick Earnshaw walking into the store. I don't see lean Nick Earnshaw walking in being like, hey, I'm going to put this shirt on with my buttons all the way down.
See, the faux pas is it's not even a good looking shirt. Like the logos, that's the biggest faux pas. But then on top of it, it's just a tan shirt. It just doesn't look good. You got to have more options than that. I mean, if you're going to the London series game, you're not buying this shirt. You're going to buy like the cool t-shirt design or something like that. That's what I would be doing. Not a Hawaiian shirt in London. It's crazy. I can't believe it, Josh. That's my final nugget. 3 nuggets today, Josh, for you. I'm all angry now. I'm all upset now because I had to bring up this shirt.
Well, listen to the shift because I'm sure Nick Earnshaw will be ranting about that on the podcast or tomorrow when you're co-hosting with Ryan Rothstein live from the ShopRite LPGA Classic over there off of McGettigan's 19th hole. Nick, great stuff today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Josh, I'll talk to you tomorrow. It'll be a fun one.
Absolutely. Nick Earnshaw here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, this segment, as always, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Coming up next, we'll reset the buttons. Phillies, Eagles, Joel Embiid, and more. Josh Hennick filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, Frank, looks like business is booming. What are all those tabs you have open on your computer?
Oh, hey. Well, this one is for my SEO company. This one is for my website company. This one is for my CRM. This is for invoicing and estimates. This one does email. And this one does billing.
Jeez, that sounds tricky to manage.
It's clunky, but I need all this to run my business. Wait, you run your own business and you're even busier than I am. Don't you have all this stuff too?
I do, but I get it all on one screen with the Town Square Business Management Platform.
What's that?
The Town Square Business Management Platform is an all-in-one tool that helps me grow and run my business. It combines website, billing, and scheduling into one program.
That sounds simpler than juggling all the tools I have now, but you still need someone else to help you find new business, right?
Nope. They have powerful digital advertising built into the platform as well, which helps me keep my calendar full. You can get a demo of the product for free. Check out their website. See if it makes sense for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Town Square Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.
A slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability and advanced cybersecurity. It's Ultimate Speed from Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet. Get started with internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online to switch today. In 62324, restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabits per second internet. Equal bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares Comcast Business 1.25 gig to 100 megabits per second of Verizon 5G Business, AT&T Wireless Broadband, and T-Mobile for Business. Up to 3 times downloads for current, essential, and standard customers.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead.
With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone. Auto.
So what if I need a new one?
We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone. Auto.
And what about my old battery?
We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey Philly, Burger King has cooked up something special for you. The new Philly Royal Crispy Chicken Wrap, filled with melty cheese, flame-grilled peppers and onions, rolled up in a soft, warm tortilla. It's just $2.99 and only around for a limited time. So grab one, or maybe 2, while you can. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Limited time only at participating Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area restaurants. Tax extra.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ziprecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles,
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers,
oh, baby,
and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
BNFM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Josh Niddick going in for Mike Gill. Mike Gill is in London with the Phillies for the Phillies Mets London series this weekend. We'll get back to the text board at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Also, still to come this hour, we'll give you the full Ryan Russillo rant, complaining, whining, crying, whatever you want to call it, situation. Because I have a huge problem with people like this because, you're waiting for them to make a valid point, and they make a point and then they ruin the point because they just sound like a bunch of whiny criers. And there's nothing more annoying in life than people who just are whiny, crying, miserable people. Okay. And I say this as someone who used to enjoy what a guy like Ryan Russillo brings to the table. And now he just sounds like the most miserable person in the world. We'll get to that. Also, your guys' thoughts on the Phillies. We'll be talking about that throughout the show. There's questions about what they should be doing at the deadline. I still believe they need a right-handed bat and a bullpen pitcher. I know some people are looking at the big names like the Randy Arozarena and Luis Robert Jr., like the Jeff Passan report was a couple days ago. I feel like they should go for someone a little less high profile, like a Matt Vierling, and not shake up the entire locker room and the team. They need to add to the team, not refurbish the team. The old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's my perspective. Also, before we get to all that, though, a little Eagles news at the top of the hour here. So I'm going to be completely honest. I am still searching for some legitimate analysis on this. But while Nick Earnshaw and I were discussing other topics, the Eagles decided to make a fat press release where they basically changed a bunch of people's titles. And there is two people that I am most intrigued by with this change. Now, I preface this by saying that I have not seen any deeper analysis that I'm going to give you guys right now. Okay. So until I see one of the Eagles beat people bring up some more information on this front, I am going to accept this as is and run with it. Okay. So the Eagles announced title changes for numerous people. Some of this are promotions. Some of this is, guys getting, variations of different titles. Like, for example, Brandon Hunt has been a guy who's worked in the Eagles Sky Department for many years. He has been promoted to Senior Director of Scouting, a position that, for example, guys like Andy Weidel, who now works in the Steelers organization, he used to own, right? So Brandon Hunt is probably going to be the next guy who gets stolen from the Eagles in the near future, just to put it out there. Also, Adam Berry, who was originally like an analytics guy at one point, he is now Vice President of Football Operations and Strategy. So he is moving up the ladder as well. But the big name in all this, Big Dom, has a new title. He has now been changed to Senior Advisor to the General Manager / Chief Security Officer / Game Day Coaching Operations. We all know what this is about. This is a direct response to the league's assertion that Big Dom DeSandro shouldn't be on the sidelines with the team, with the coaches in game. His modified title gives him more latitude by the league, for the league, and for the rest of the league to see that Dom DeSandro is more than just the chief of security for the Eagles, that they value him as much more than that, and you can't ban him from the sideline ever again. We know what this is about, and I'm sure that this title change got him a nice little bonus check for him as we're sorry for you getting suspended by the NFL last year. Here's a little how much we appreciate you, big boy. Although I will say I disagree with Dom DeSandro's choice of pizza in Ocean City. I think that was a poor choice by him. A real Italiano doesn't go where he went on the Ocean City boardwalk. Just saying. Sorry, not sorry. If you saw the picture, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where he went, not the best pizza on the Ocean City boardwalk. Real Italians, they don't go for the mainstream pizza. They go for the authentic pizza. I'm just saying. But I digress. Maybe with a pay raise, someone will give him some more better pizza advice. The other name that's interesting on this press release is Connor Barwin is now head of football development and strategy. And this is very fascinating because Connor Barwin, when he played in the NFL, I never thought of him as like a guy who was going to be a front office guy. I remember every time I heard him do an interview, every time I've listened to him talk to people, he always sounded like a coach more than a front office guy. I felt like Connor Barwin's future was going to be as like a coaching, maybe like a linebacker coach at some point, maybe move up the ranks to be like a Mike Vrabel, maybe a little less intense kind of guy. But, Barwin was always a very smart football player to me. The fact that he was a very good football player was kind of like a side. And he was a very productive Eagle, very good player. But I got to tell you guys, I never saw him, and maybe it's a bad job by me, saw him becoming the head of football development strategy. That's a very impressive promotion for Connor Barwin and a title change. A guy who, again, I said I always thought he was going to be a coach after his career, and now he advances up the ladder to, he's not just in the front office. He's just not, this is not like hey, we gave you a job. Okay. Matt Leo, the former Eagles D lineman, he's player development assistant. That's a that's a, hey, we want to give him a job. What can we give him kind of thing? And I'm sure Matt Leo's more than that. I'm obviously being a little bit of tongue in cheek, aggressively mean about it. But Connor Barwin being in charge of football development strategy says a lot about his future in this league. Connor Barwin looks like he's on track to maybe being a general manager one day, because usually the guy who's in charge of football development and strategy is very involved with not just the player development on the field, but he's also involved with the off-season training activities, with the mini camp planning, with the planning of practices and training camp and the logistics that go into all of that. That's a guy who is a connective tissue between the coaching staff and the front office. And so I say good for Connor Barwin, man. That's an impressive move up the ladder for him. And I think it's very cool to see him get that opportunity. So, I mean, there were multiple people who got title changes today, but those were the couple that really stood out to me, at least. So, Dom DeSandro getting the pay bump and the don't mess with me NFL titles. Adam Berry and Brandon Hunt obviously moving up the ranks of the Eagles organization. The bigger jobs will probably lead them to get poached by some other team in the near future. And then Connor Barwin, I'm telling you guys, he is starting to look like he might have a future as the GM. Because for him to get the job that he has now as head of football development and strategy, that's a big deal. So, little Eagles news for you on a Thursday here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Before we get back to the text at 609-403-0973, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City, I did want to get to this Ryan Russillo audio. Now, Ryan Russillo is a name you probably remember. He was on ESPN radio years ago. Him and Scott Van Pelt used to co-host the midday radio show together on ESPN radio. Russillo was a longtime ESPN staple, and then he left to join Bill Simmons at The Ringer. And, he still pops on SVP's platforms here and there and does stuff. And it's well known that Russillo's passion is the NBA, okay? It's a well known that Ryan Russillo loves basketball more than any of the other sports. Not that he can't talk about the other sports, but he has been mischaracterized, miscast as a basketball guy, where I think it's more so he loves basketball and he loves talking about it. It's not one and the same. It's like saying Bill Simmons is an NBA insider when he's basically had like 2 or 3 scoops his entire life. Okay. But Ryan Russillo goes on this rant about Joel Embiid, and I have to respond to it because I feel like there's a lot of disingenuous thoughts about Russillo, and they come from the type of people who look at the 76ers, look at Sixer fans with the side eye. They look at the Sixers as an organization that was, and this is an incorrect assertion, tanking and rebuilding for a decade, which is not what happened at all. And he's feeding into some false narratives. And if it wasn't for the fact that he gets so emotionally bent in this audio, I would tend to think he makes some good points. So let's decipher between the legitimate points and the Ryan Russillo sounds like a crybaby about Joel Embiid. All right, here's part 1.
Like, what am I supposed to do with him? Zach Lowe was like, he's irrefutably in the top 4. And I was like, let's refute, because it is, at least the way I have it, is Jokic, Luka, Giannis, SGA. You could flip a coin with. I think it's those 4. And that 5th spot is not reserved for Embiid for me anymore in the way that it was prior to this season.
All right. So it's an interesting conversation. Is Joel Embiid still a top 5 player in the league? Okay. And you heard him name the names he gave. He told you Jokic, Luka, Giannis, SGA. I think we all agree those guys are in, the top 5, right? So Should Joel Embiid be number 5? Does Joel Embiid deserve that number 5 spot? Well, the problem with what Russillo initially says is he doesn't tell you who he would put in place of Embiid. See, this is always the problem I run into with a segment of sports fans who they love to complain, they love to point the finger, they love to tell you fill in the blank isn't good or he's overrated. Well, then who's ahead of him? Like, for example, if Russillo would have got up there and said, for example, I think Anthony Edwards is proven because he got to the Western Conference Finals, he should be ahead of Joel Embiid. Or if he said, look, Jason Tatum is in his second NBA Finals in the last couple of years, I would put him in the top 5. Like, if he gave a reason for why Embiid isn't there, I'd be more likely to turn around and be like, Russillo, you're making an interesting point. Let's have a conversation. But instead of refuting the argument of Embiid in the top 5 with a explanation, he goes on and says this.
I don't give a what any of his stats are. His PER was actually on track to be like the greatest single PER of anyone. I mean, those are incredible. I know what the numbers are. I know what the final totals are. You know what I'm sick of seeing? I'm sick of seeing playoff games where I need him to figure out a way to unlock the possession and get him into his stuff on his own in a way that I don't think he's capable of doing the way other guys are.
All right. So there's a huge problem with this point by Russillo, and that is the 4 players ahead of Embiid on his list already. Jokic, Luka, SGA, and Giannis. All 4 of them only had postseason success when they got the right talent around them. Jokic and Giannis and all these guys never got deep into the postseason until they had the right running mates. So, yes, you can complain that Embiid has come up small in some of the biggest games of his career. But you're ignoring the fact that so have other players as well. Look, Jason Tatum did not play well for the majority of the NBA Finals a couple years ago against the Warriors. I mentioned Luka and Nikola. Okay, Doncic and Jokic only got as far as they did when they had the right running mates, when they had the right teammates around them. SGA is still young. We're learning about him. Giannis, the same as Luka and Jokic. The fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo was a guy who only got as far as he did, when he had the right running mates. That being Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. So you can judge Embiid on his postseason failings, but don't say, I don't give a bleep about his stats. It sounds ignorant because literally, what else are we judging him on? Are we supposed to ignore the fact that he's been leading the NBA in scoring over the last couple of years? Are we supposed to ignore that Joel Embiid is statistically one of the best players in the league? It almost sounds like he's just such a whiny person who's tired of Embiid. Look, if you want to use the postseason as a measuring stick for these guys, I'm all for it. But saying bleep the stats is not an answer. Because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for the stats, Jokic doesn't win all those MVPs. If it wasn't for the stats, we wouldn't even consider SGA an MVP candidate. If it wasn't for the stats, we wouldn't be so impressed with what Luka's doing in the regular season and the postseason. Luka is the first player to average 30 points in the regular season and around 30 points in the postseason since Shaq. Think about that. It's crazy. So Am I supposed to be like ignoring stats? I can't do that. That's irrational. Final part of Russillo's rant.
He's this incredibly skilled guy for his size, which is what attracts us to what's possible with him. But I've just watched enough. I'm not going to debate people on this anymore. He hasn't figured out some of the stuff that he needs to do to get me beyond the 30, 15, and all the awesome shooting numbers that you could. Any Embiid guy can beat me over the head with all sorts of stats. I'm asking you, if you're a Sixers fan, do you feel super comfortable in those moments where it's up to him? I don't.
And that's where I ask you guys, are you comfortable with Joel Embiid moving forward? 609-403-0973 is the text board. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Shaner in EHT, he's first up on deck, chimes in and says, Embiid hasn't done anything in the playoffs. The way he started the season was epic, but then what? Game 6, Game 7 last year, the dude is around 8 or 9 to me in the league overall. He's a regular season dynamo, but ultimately I want a parade and bragging rights. JoJo is a beast, but when will he show me the money? That's from Shaner and EHT. Now, first of all, Shaner sounds much less like Russillo because Shaner actually makes some interesting points. Russillo sounds like a whiner and a complainer. Okay. So let's address what Shaner brought up. Number one, you mentioned about the fact that he has been amazing in the regular season, but not so much in the postseason. This was really the first year that you looked at Joel Embiid and you thought you were getting something from like legitimate from him in the postseason. In years past, when you looked at Embiid in the postseason, you felt like he wasn't giving you anything. This year was probably the most impactful he's ever been in the postseason. Okay. Career high in points per game in the playoffs, right? Joel Embiid was absolutely a force of nature in the postseason. And I don't know if you can blame him for losing to the Knicks. I thought that he gave you pretty much everything you could possibly reasonably ask for in terms of scoring and rebounding and all that goes into that. I think Joel showed that he is one of the best players in the league. So I appreciate Shaner saying that he's still 8 or 9 in the league. But Shaner also brings up, I want a parade. I don't care about the regular season. I think that is akin to the conversation as well. The fact that, Joel Embiid has not shown up in the postseason the way you want him to consistently. Now, he showed up in the postseason most of this past series against the Knicks, particularly in games 2, 3, and 6. And remember, they lost game 6 by 3 points. So, is it fair to blame it all on Embiid if Joel doesn't have the supporting cast that the other great players ahead of him have? Jokic, Giannis, Luka. These are all guys with better supporting casts. Tatum in Boston than Joel Embiid. So how much do we factor in his teammates versus him? Kristen Millville chimed in at 609-403-0973. He says, I love Embiid, but he can't be the guy to close out games. Like you said, Josh, he needs the right surrounding cast. Yeah, I think the surrounding cast part is completely devalued by a lot of people out there because, we tend to look at basketball as a game of individual excellence, and then we forget how important it is to have the team around the individual. So when I look at Joel Embiid, I cannot let the postseason success be the only measure of him because the postseason depends on your teammates. The postseason depends on the shots dropping. You want Joel to pass the ball, he passes it, and the guy misses the three-pointer. Now what? You tell Joel, take a couple minutes off, hit the bench, and then they go on a slide without him on the court because they can't survive him without him in certain situations. Now, yes, Embiid has 2 years left on his contract. But as Nick Earnshaw mentioned earlier here on the Sports Bash, Josh Hennick filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. As Nick Earnshaw mentioned, Embiid has 2 more years left. He's extension eligible. How many more years do you stick with this situation? I don't know if there's a right answer. My answer, which is, I'll admit, subjective, is the fact that when I look at the trajectory of Embiid's career, I see a guy who is in his prime right now. I don't think he is necessarily getting that much better at this point. I think there is a refinement and there is a, what's the word I'm looking for? There's refinement and there is areas he can improve on. The turnover issues have been absolutely an abomination his entire time playing in the NBA. But let's be realistic. If you're Joel Embiid and the turnover is the biggest problem you got to work on, how hard are you working on it? And then you'll find out how serious he is about basketball. And I think the part of the problem is that, you want Joel Embiid to be all in, but you don't want everybody else to be on the same level. And at some point, you got to bring some guys in here who can match Joel Embiid's leadership, his moxie, and some of his scoring. All right, we'll get back to next sport coming up on the side. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And, of course, the big three still to come here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on a Thursday evening.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments with one thing in mind: you. Save money while saving the planet. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program is a statewide program that offers incentives, programs, and services that benefit New Jersey residents, businesses, education, government, and nonprofit entities to help us all save energy, money, and the environment. Discover how you can start saving today and help ensure a cleaner future. Visit njcleanenergy.com to see what New Jersey's Clean Energy Program can do for you. A message from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included with the activation of a Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Requires in-store activation. Device offer ends 6/9/24. Taxes and fees apply.
With Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal, you can get your choice of a sausage or bacon, egg, and cheese English muffin with small seasoned potatoes.
And with all that for just $3, it really is a proper breakfast, wouldn't you say? Huh? With a light and fluffy toasted English muffin and crispy seasoned potatoes. Go on, Catherine, give it a go.
Okay. Jolly good morning.
Ah, close love. Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal for a limited time.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price. Prices are higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from June 7th through the 10th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy?
It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around. Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it.
That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with the Father's Day gift from the Home Depot. Because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. For Father's Day, upgrade his gear with the Husky 270-piece mechanics tool set from the Home Depot. Just $99. Perfect in the hands of a pro or a dad. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
An extension for Embiid. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Philadelphia Inquirer's Keith Pompey reporting that Joel Embiid is available for an extension this offseason, that got us wondering, would you want the Sixers to extend Embiid this offseason? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. In my estimation, I do not believe the Philadelphia 76ers should extend Joel Embiid this year because he is still under contract for the next 2 seasons and also has a player option after that. If the Sixers were to sign him this offseason to an extension, it would be through the 2029 season and he would be 35 years of age. I just think it's too early to tell if they want to extend Embiid to another contract. Text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Borgata's Dash for Cash giveaway is here. This May and June, you could win a share of $1.3 million in prizes, including 2 new Cadillac Lyric SUVs or one of 4 new Voyager golf carts. Play to earn entries for 2 grand prize drawings held Saturday, May 25th and June 29th. The Dash for Cash giveaway, only at Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. For details, visit theborgata.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tonight, rain chances go away, and as we dry out and humidity starts to fall, our weather will turn more comfortable again. Overnight low temperature 67. Tomorrow, not as humid, partly sunny and breezy, high 83. Saturday, also a nice day, mostly sunny with late-day clouds, high 79. There will be a chance of a shower early Sunday morning, otherwise a mix of sun and clouds, and our high again 79. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. Here is an important safety message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
We all must do our part to keep our roadways safe. When driving, look out for pedestrians. Slow down and keep a 4-foot distance while passing. Let's look out for each other. Safety is a shared responsibility. Brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Here on the Sports Bash, Josh and Nick from Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. The following Nick Earnshaw's question of the day. He also asked me last hour, Nick's Nuggets, those who didn't hear the conversation. I think there's 2 sides to this when it comes to Joel Embiid. One side is the fact that you have a guy in Joel who, let's be realistic, okay? He is still one of the best players in the NBA. We know he is one of the better players in this league. Top 5, top 10, whatever. But we all know the reality. The priority this offseason is Tyrese Maxey. You got to get that deal done before you get anything else done. That's number one. Number two, how do we balance the different ends of the spectrum between you want to give Joel an extension before the TV money changes the dynamics of the free agent market? Well, there's a problem with that theory as well. Are you ready to give Joel Embiid that kind of money for that many years to that age? And I think that there are positives and negatives. There are pros and cons to both sides of this. I think the biggest pro to getting a deal done with Embiid, as I said, is get the money locked in so when the new TV money comes in, he'll look like a bargain basically at that point. And then also sign him to a deal that is going to not depreciate poorly. You don't have to give a guy a contract where he gets paid more at the end of his deal than the beginning. Sports teams in every league create different types of contracts, whether it's the same average every year, whether it's the final year being less than the previous year. There's so many variations to this that I just look at it as, look, Daryl, if you're that confused, just call Howie Roseman's across the street. I mean, I don't understand this way of thinking that there's only one way to do this. Now, the cons of all this is Joel Embiid ever going to be better than he is now? Will his physical abilities depreciate sooner than later? I tend to believe Joel Embiid has a couple of more great years in him. And then I don't know where the body's going to be at that point. Because the guy seems to get injured every single year without fail. And I don't want to be the guy to sit here and say, oh, he's going to be cooked by 35. I don't know that for a fact. I have trouble as a person who's trying to be objective on this, excuse me, to say that I can guarantee you Joel Embiid will be completely cooked by age 34 and 35. I tend to believe that he will be a depreciated player by then. He's not getting any better necessarily. So that's kind of how I look at Nick's question. I tend to believe that if you want to get Joel Embiid at a certain number, get the deal done as soon as possible. But if you're worried about him long term, then tell Joel, look, we'll give you 2 years on top of the 2 years. I'll give you the 3 year. I mean, Joel's played long enough in the league that you can manipulate things like that. You know, there's got to be a way to manipulate these numbers and these contracts so it doesn't completely cash strap you long term. But again, as I said, at the end of the day, it's going to be Tyrese Maxey. Maxey is going to be the priority moving forward. All right. We usually do the big three here in this segment when Mike Gill is here, and I'll kind of give you some of the stories and topics that I am keeping an eye on throughout the day today. Obviously, the NBA Finals are tonight. You're the action right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Thanks to ESPN Radio's coverage of the NBA playoffs. I understand the Celtics are the team that was the best team in the league this year. I understand they are the betting favorite with the odds makers. But I can't get past the idea that this Mavs team just looks different. This version of Luka Doncic is the best version I have ever seen. I have seen Jason Tatum in the postseason before. I've seen him in NBA Finals before, and he has failed to deliver. Now, I'm not necessarily going to say that Luka Doncic is going to win Finals MVP, because it could be Kyrie, okay? But I do think if the goal is to be first team to 4 wins gets the championship, I have more confidence in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now, as Keith Smith told us a couple hours ago here on the Sports Bash Show on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday afternoon. Keith Smith said that to him, it's not about Luka and Kyrie versus Tatum and Brown. For him, it's about the third guy, the fourth guy, the fifth guy, the sixth guy. And he says that he looks at Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derek White as a better 3, 4, and 5 options than the Mavs, who have PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and realistically, it's what's his name? Derek Lively. So if it does come down to the supporting cast, I tend to think that then the key is going to be Porzingis. How healthy is he? Does he have revenge on the mind? Is he the kind of guy who is going to rise up to this moment? Now, Drew Holiday is a very underrated basketball player, and he could make up for whatever Porzingis doesn't give you offensively. If you just tell Porzingis, look, you're the fourth option on offense, play some defense, get some rebounds, hit some open shots, we'll get it to you when you need you, and he's good with that, then the Celtics have a very good chance of winning this series. But I'm just not convinced that Jason Tatum is a great postseason performer. I've seen him small in too many games for me to just dismiss the idea that Luka and Kyrie look much more willing to rise to this occasion than what you have seen from Tatum and Brown in the past. So I am personally going to go with the Mavs. I like the Mavericks winning 6 or 7 games. I love the what was the last number I saw for this series? Mavs plus 170 to win the series. Okay. I can work with those numbers. Again, I just feel like a part of the reason why the Celtics are being favored is because people are looking at them as the better team all year. And I'm saying the Mavericks have been great for the last few months. And sometimes the hot team wins a championship, not the best team winning a championship. We see that in baseball. We see that in basketball. We see that in hockey. So that's why I'm going Mavs in 6 or 7. And it's interesting because you look at all the basketball analysts out there, all the insiders, all the, people like Tim Legler, he's picking the Mavericks. Bobby Marks, he's picking the Mavericks. 2 guys who have been here on 97.3 ESPN as guests. Dave McMenamin, guy from the Philadelphia area, he is picking the Mavericks. All right? There's a lot of people who are picking the Mavs. It's not just everyone's going Celtics. There are a lot of smart basketball people who are looking at this series the same way I do. So it definitely makes you feel a little better about things. A couple other topics to get to here. We didn't get into this too much earlier, but the comments from Jalen Hurts saying that basically 95% of the Eagles offense is new. And there's a large degree of change in the Birds offense. I think that this is a pure sign to everyone out there that the Eagles offense is probably going to go through a stretch this season where they're going to look unstoppable. Because remember, it takes teams time to recalibrate their playbook for you if you're running a different offense. And if Hurts can be in any way efficient, that means that this team is going to be borderline unstoppable with A.J. Brown, with Devonta Smith, with Dallas Goedert, with Saquon Barkley, with Jalen Hurts. I know the questions are still about who the third receiver is, who the fourth receiver is. I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about what is this team going to do with their primary weapons? You care about the secondary weapons. They can figure it out later. Now, I know some of you out there, you still put the finger at Sirianni and look at him and say, Sirianni's a bad coach. Sirianni doesn't know what he's doing. Sirianni is this, Sirianni's that. But if Sirianni's not calling the plays and the Eagles have a high-powered offense, what does Sirianni have to do with anything? Keep that in mind as we get closer and closer to the start of the NFL season. I believe we're 90 days away now from the first game of the Eagles season. Also a big topic coming up so far today has been this situation with the Lakers and Dan Hurley. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier with Keith Smith from SpotTrack.com, NBA Insider. This fiasco that has been birthed on us, that the Lakers are making a strong push to try to get Dan Hurley, the men's basketball coach from the University of Connecticut, to me is one of the most bizarre stories I have seen in a while. Because number one, it's not like we had any hints, any suggestions, any winks, nothing. We were given nothing about, oh, Dan Hurley could be a candidate. The last thing we heard, Dan Hurley said, I'm staying at UConn forever. I'm not going to Kentucky. But as Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN points out, we are 20 years since the Lakers also offered another championship-winning college coach a job. 20 years ago, the Los Angeles Lakers tried to get Mike Krzyzewski to leave Duke University to be the Lakers' head coach. Now, there obviously is no direct connection here between Krzyzewski then and the Lakers now. Rob Pelinka is the GM now. Mitch Kupchak was back then. There's all kinds of differences in how those teams were built, how those teams were different. But it is certainly fair to question, why are the Lakers going after Danny Hurley? And I think it has a lot more to do with the Lakers than it does LeBron. Because people are suggesting, oh, well, this is who LeBron wants. This is who LeBron is interested in. I don't think that's the case. I think what's going on right now is the Lakers, they fired Darvin Ham without a real plan of who they were going to pivot to. I think that's what happened here. I think the Lakers started going through the coaching interviews, started going through the coaching search, and they suddenly realized there's actually not someone better out here than Darvin Ham. I think the Lakers have made a lot of coaching mistakes in recent years. They should have never fired Frank Vogel, and they should have never fired Darvin Ham. The Lakers are turning into the New York Yankees of the George Steinbrenner years in the 80s and 90s. They're just firing people for the sake of firing people. I don't like you. Get out. I'll find somebody else. I'll replace you. And the volatility of George Steinbrenner almost completely destroyed the Yankees organization. You go back through baseball history, you realize that if George Steinbrenner was never suspended by Major League Baseball the way he was for his, just disturbing attitudes and behavior and, spying on Dave Winfield the way he did, the Yankees could have never rebuilt their farm system to get them to the point where they won all those World Series in the 1990s and then the early 2000s. because there was a point in time where they were going through what seemed to be a manager every other year. First, he fires Billy Martin. Then he rehires Billy Martin. Then he brings in Hauser. Then he brings back Lemon. Then he brings back Martin again. Then he tries Yogi Berra. Then he tried Lou Piniella. Then he tried Billy Martin again. Then it was Dallas Green. Sure, why not? You won a World Series. You come in here. Then Dallas Green, he's gone. Buck Showalter was hired when George Steinbrenner was no longer involved in the day-to-day operations, basically. So I feel like the Lakers are turning into a bastardized version of what we saw from the Yankees years ago. All right, those are some of the big stories happening in the world of sports right now. Coming up on the other side, though, my favorite story of the day. The Utah hockey team, which is now owned by the owners of the Utah Jazz. They have their team narrowed down to 6 names thanks to 500,000 votes coming in. And I got to tell you, I hate some of these names. I'll tell you why. Coming up next, Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday afternoon.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Score free gifts for the greatest dad this Father's Day at Lowe's. Get a free Select Cobalt tool with your purchase of a 24-volt Max Battery 2-pack. And get a free Select Craftsman string trimmer or leaf blower with purchase of a Select V20 push mower up to a $149 value. Lowe's knows dads. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 6/12. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about new Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in the zone.
It restores your engine to factory clean?
And protects.
Get in the zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included with the activation of a Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Requires in-store activation. Device offer ends 6/9/24. Taxes and fees apply.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with a 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Do you have a job? Do you have $199? Do you want a brand new Nissan?
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Then drive home in your new Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV for only deposit and only $29.99 due. That's a brand new 24 Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV that gets up to 39 miles per gallon for only $199 per month. And don't forget the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. VIN RY229097 and RN330138. Sentra lease selling price $25,509. Ultimate lease selling price $27,829. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN.
All right, wrapping up the Sports Bash. Josh Hennick filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Ken in Mays Landing is our final text to squeeze into the show. He says, Dak Prescott had a career year with less talent than these Eagles with Kellen Moore. Now you put Moore and Jalen Hurts together with this team. I predict 37 touchdowns for Hurts, 12 wins. We're going to win the NFC. What happens after that? I have no idea, but I can't wait, says Ken from Mays Landing. Now that's kind of positive energy we needed at the end of this show. By the way, I mentioned this story with the Utah Jazz. So this story is nuts to me. So they have narrowed down the names for their hockey team. And this might be the worst list of all time. The 6 finalists for the Utah hockey team are as follows. The Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Blizzard, the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Outlaws, the Utah Venom, and the Utah Yeti. What on earth is wrong with these people in Utah? Who voted for these names? First of all, didn't we already learn from Washington that you never call the team the football team, the hockey club? Horrible, uncreative, dumb. The woolly mammoth? People even know what a mammoth is anymore? I'm out on that. The Utah Venom? Venom, it's bad. What is Marvel going to lease them the Venom character for that? Come on. The Utah Outlaws? There's nothing outlaw about Utah. The only good names on here are the Yeti and the Blizzard. And if they don't get one of those names, poor job by Utah people. I'm Josh Hennick. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
This Father's Day, help Dad.